we ready? Good to go. The meeting is called to order, Southampton Town Planning Board, Thursday, July 25th, 2024. The secretary will call the roll.
Chair LaFaro is absent, Vice Chair Finity.
Present.
The secretary is here. Board Member Mutu.
Present.
Board Member Neely.
Present.
Board Member Fulham.
Present.
We have a quorum.
And the vacancy. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you have any minutes?
Yes, we do. 6:27 and 7:11, so we are up to date.
7:11. Do we have a motion? Motion by Tom, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We have 5 present and 1 absent.
Vacancy.
Well, we don't have a vacancy. We're going to close the afternoon regular session and convene the work session. Anthony, are you going to start us off with the Heatherwood or?
Representative Heatherwood here. Are you Sean? Yes. Hey, Sean. How are you? Come on up.
We'll convene the afternoon work session now. Give the application of Heatherwood at Hampton Bays. Come on up. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
That's great. We love easels. I'll try and get the town to the spring for one for the part of 30 years.
On this side, okay?
Good, perfect.
That works.
Dennis, just to give the board one a little
Just
update.
leave it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, I'll do that. So
Is that everything? Okay.
this is a vacant property on West Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays. It's just to the west of Springville Road. It's actually a split zone property, so you're looking at up here. The front portion of the property is zoned office district. The rear portion of the property is zoned MF44. It's my understanding that they've already received the change of zone from the town board for this site.
Did we not see this before?
Not from me.
Okay.
So it was given to me. I had never seen or heard this before. So Janice asked me to put it on as a work session. The application is for a mixed-use development, which they'll show you the plans. I believe it includes some office or commercial development in the front lot with some apartments on the second floor, and then condos, I believe, multifamily in the rear of the property. I don't remember the total number of units. I want to say 15 in the back. They'll tell you 15 in the back plus what's being proposed on the second floor of the office district.
And that's between the bank and the gas station
Dave,
or
could you do
something?
a street view?
Right in there?
Yes, let me do that for you.
A question for Steve. Is under New York State law, changes of the zone have to come to planning board for mandatory referral, or is that just discretionary?
No, that's a referral. I think it's mandatory. I believe it's mandatory
It's mandatory.
in our code.
So I want to just clarify, this zone change was granted without the mandatory referral to the planning board.
What was the year it was granted?
Do you know, Sean, when the change of zone?
Was this
Years ago, I mean,
This is phase 2 of something was done in, I'm gonna say, the 90s,
Oh.
80s.
was that
Okay.
Bill? Was this near Bill Siegel's piece? Is
No,
it that
it's
one?
not.
No, it's not that one.
No, it's right next to the hall, and then there's the
Oh, okay.
later.
Right.
Yeah,
Those
that-
different
that's
properties.
in the back.
Dennis,
Yes.
that's definitely very old.
I believe Heatherwood. This the site at the entrance. It's Heatherwood, so you have the Heatherwood
Yeah.
multifamily development to the back there.
Correct. So we're directly adjacent to the west.
So
So
what
this
we'll
is
ask
all
you
the-
to do is introduce your name to the record and give us a brief overview of the project.
Great, sure. Members of the board, thank you for allowing us to speak this afternoon at the work session. My name is Sean Sally. I'm the Senior Director of Planning and Development at Heatherwood. I'm also joined by our President, Chris Capiz, and owner, Doug Bartram.
And this is property on the north side of,
On the north
Yes.
side
Okay.
of
That's up to sunrise. That's
now,
the
when I,
sunrise. Yep.
now it all makes sense.
That's the
atrium there, right?
Yeah, that's the atrium right next to it.
Yeah. I can pass this, or here's just a site map showing the existing condition. So as Anthony pointed out, we we have put forth a proposed plan that consists of 15 units in the rear portion of the property, rental units that is consistent with the MF zoning district, fully complying in terms of density, lot coverage, etc. And then on the OD portion of the property, which is the southern sort of 1/3 of the property there, exactly. That's OD. We're looking to have the apartments option exercised here and create a mixed-use development, ground floor retail, approximately 11,200 square feet, with 9 rental units above, in a single building configuration that frames the Montauk Highway and Lamplight Circle, so creating that or extending that downtown street wall. Just by way of a little bit of recent history, our initial site plan concept consisted of 3 separate buildings, retail on the ground floor, rental residential above, consistent with the code. In discussions with town planning and consulting with the pattern book, we combined those 3 buildings into one. We felt, again, it's a better site plan configuration. It conforms with the pattern book. It creates more of a gateway into the Hampton Bays downtown. Same residential density, shrinks the retail footprint a little bit. The lot coverage comes down from 25% to about 16%, which is about half the allowable. So, it's a very tight site, and we think, though, it makes sense as far as the configuration that's planned. We'd also like to use the existing Lamplight Circle access way to access this property, thereby eliminating the need for a new curb cut on Montauk, which, again, for safety purposes, and creating that pedestrian-friendly street wall. Consolidation of curb cuts is, of course, a smarter way to go about it. And because we own Lamplight as part of our town and country development, we have that opportunity to combine access to both sites. We would have parking in the rear, again, having the building up front, really framing that corner. Thank you, Anthony, for holding that up there. But building at the street front, parking behind. Clubhouse for the residential would be attached to that retail building, again, creating that nice corner, really nice view shed, we think, from Montauk Highway, being, again, more of a downtown context. We've reviewed the pattern book, and again, our finishes, our treatments, exterior treatments, would be in line with the pattern book. We take cues. Again, we're familiar with working with a pattern book. We recently received entitlements in the town of Riverhead in downtown, where they have a pattern book, an adopted pattern book. So again, we're familiar with that process, and we seek to conform. So the boards, we have our wireframe site plan, sort of the nitty gritty. The rear portion of the property, the MF zone, 15 units, 2 units of affordable, which is, again, fully compliant with the code. Those 15 units would be 3 bedrooms. All would have integral garages, driveways, so it would be more of a single family or townhouse feel.
But all rental, though.
All rental, that's correct.
Is there any age restriction on these units? Age restriction?
These we're proposing market rate. Yes.
So can I just interject there for a minute? It's preliminary, obviously, so we don't want to get too in certain details, but just on the affordable, just looking at the requirements on the Long Island workforce housing, I think you're looking at 24 units altogether. So 10%, I think, would have to be a minimum of 3 affordable units.
Yes, absolutely. And so the rear portion, the rear, again, multifamily, 15 units, 2 units would be set aside for affordable. Up front on the OD zone, those are 9 units above the retail. 2 additional units would be set aside for affordable, and that's consistent with the 20% requirement in the OD and the supplemental apartments town code. So a total of 4 affordable units would be proposed, again, fully compliant with the code. Again, parking behind the retail stores, again, really creating that street wall downtown feel. And then again, in the MF zone in the back, we have integral garages, driveways, again, really with that more secluded kind of single family feel in the back there. So that's basically our proposal. Again, Heatherwood, we're a 74-year-old company, private company. We've never sold a multifamily property. We have properties in Suffolk, Nassau, Queens, and Brooklyn, predominantly Suffolk and Nassau counties, though. We're vested in the community, and again, we feel that the experience that we bring to bear really can create something special here. Again, we really see this as a Western gateway into the heart of downtown Hampton Bays.
What are you doing about septic?
So we have two. It's two opportunities or two options. We do have ample space at the north end of our property, sort of where it starts to triangle off, to create a BEST or a chromoplast system, on-site system that would have the required buffered distances, and that would handle all of the septic needs.
For both the townhouses
The
and
north
the
end,
apartments?
exactly, yes.
And what about other environmentally, like solar and electric charging stations and things like that?
Sure. So EV charging stations, we've instituted that amenity in some of our communities, and we're looking to add on. So we know how to incorporate those, and we look into it at this location as well. It's worked out well for us in other locations in Suffolk.
Well, we've come to realize that these EVs, as the use of electric vehicles increases, it's going to be productive when the site is being developed. Everything's ripped up to run underground conduits,
Absolutely.
maybe short bollards. Even if at that period the designated parking space is not an EV, 2 years from now it may be, and we want to avoid the scenario of extension cords dangling out windows.
And
Absolutely.
the town has adopted a climate action plan, and although that plan hasn't identified specific code changes, we are trying to recommend with new programs to suggest that you look at solar, you look at geothermal, you look at EV charging, because at some point that probably is going to be in the code.
Okay.
But if we can get it now, your buildings are going to be around for 40 years.
Sure. Longer. But on the EV, again, we've instituted, we've done just as you've said,
Yeah.
we call it future proofing. So we'll run the
Right.
conduit in the parking areas, and so we can accommodate the demand as it becomes online.
Anthony, have you looked at a possible integration with the atrium? Is there any opportunity does it make sense to look at that with the atrium, trying to get some linkage, vehicular?
Potentially, sure.
Cross
access.
We always look at these commercial properties. Sometimes we find that the grade difference between the sites don't make it
Right.
impossible. But yeah, if there's something that could make sense.
I mean, it would take a lot of pressure. That's a very stressful intersection. And
Yep.
between traffic going north and then accessing the sunrise, you really generate some particular,
Yeah, no, I'm in this section a lot on the way home, so depending on which way
Yeah.
to go. But yeah, it's a tough area.
And if I may, just on the sewer comment, we understand that the town is considering a Hampton Bays sewer district, and that our property would be located within the boundaries, actually at the edge of the boundary, but within. So depending on timing and coordination, of course, that we very much like to leave that option open for connecting into the potential future district.
But I do think that would be a county decision, so.
Sure. We're looking at it both ways.
Yeah.
So we're covering our bases. So,
Looking at looks like, I think you said kind of townhouse style with like maybe one common entrance that leads to two different apartments or something, is that?
So those are actually direct access townhomes. That's our new West Hills development in Manorville. That entryway is into an individual unit. So each unit has its own.
In the lower right there.
In the lower right, yes.
The upper left kind of looked to me like there was maybe one entrance that went to 2 units, but
That's a club.
It's a
right?
club, yes, the upper left is a
Club.
club. But the units in the MF portion of the site would all be direct access, individual access ways into single units.
In terms of needs assessment, obviously we know there's a need for housing, right? But and affordable mostly. But have you seen a lot of people applying for the existing apartments, and kind of, can you shed a little bit of light onto supply and demand?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we see a tremendous demand, obviously on the East End for housing of all different, price points and styles. I think, our community to the east, is thriving in terms of tenants and occupancy. Again, we've received entitlements in Riverhead and downtown Riverhead, tremendous demand. I think, the balance between, affordable given the need and market rate in this location, it's an extremely popular area, not only for, summer tourism, but also year-round residents. So we just see this as a real, meeting a demand, meeting the need.
So do you imagine that you would have year-round leases, or what's the lease structure? Is it season, off-season, 2-year, 1-year, 5-year?
Sure. I mean, our business, we're looking at annual, multi-year leases as opposed to short-term, and so that would be our baseline. Again, as we get an even better understanding of the demand, I think there's an opportunity for potential, short-term within the requirements of the town, of course. But again, there is annual, long-term rental demand, absolutely at this this site, this community, and others. That's our business.
Do you have an on-site manager?
We would, yes, and we do it at Town and Country, and we would at this location as well. I think it's just a better tenant experience where you have someone available to answer questions and help out.
So are sublets allowable within your properties, or for the short term you would be managing it? Would it be someone leases it for 3 years and then they could Airbnb or something? That's been an issue in the town. Yes,
and I've tried to keep up on the on the news about the short term issues. Again, our business is long term, full time residents. Subletting is generally not permitted. So again, we really haven't looked into at this point the short term option, because again, our business is long term, full time residents.
you had mentioned 3 bedrooms. Was that, do you envision all of the units 3-bedroom or a mix, or?
Right, so the 15 units in the rear of the property are all three bedrooms. The end cap units are larger than the inlines, but all are 3 bedrooms. The mixed use portion of the property, the 9 units would consist of 2 studio, 2 1-bedroom, and 5 2-bedroom.
And the mixed use, is that rendering in the upper right kind of there?
This area here.
Right. I'm looking at the pictures you have there.
Yes.
Kind of looks, that's more the mixed use look.
Yes, and that's a bigger, larger project. So we, that it's just illustrative to sort of understand materials, but that's a mid-rise in Riverhead that we've received entitlements for.
So
again,
being specific, are you looking for the mixed use to be 2 stories or 3?
2.5, with the roof line, that makes sense. But 2 stories, the ground floor retail, and then 1 story of the 9 units above.
Anthony, is there anything else we should seems like a?
Nope. Janice wanted the board to, as they started putting together plans, have a little work session so you understood what was coming.
And there'll be an application forthcoming.
Yeah, I guess it would be a pre-submission application.
Pre-submission. What's the secret classification?
I'm guessing there's over 50 parking spaces with this project, so it will be a type 1.
I do think that access idea
Into the
is,
atrium,
is,
yeah.
is really good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good access way they have out of there.
Right.
Does
The
cross
atrium.
access
Safe.
exist through the bank also, or if,
Through the atrium.
just through the
To get
atrium
into
through their
that,
property?
right,
To get
that
into
would give you
24,
access
yeah.
to 24.
They've got good sight lines there.
Would never have to go on Montauk Highway.
Right.
To tell you the truth, if I were to make a left-hand turn out of there, I'd use that atrium, do the clover leaf, and use the light. I've done it.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really tough stretch between
Yeah.
Springville and Flanders Road. It's a
Yeah,
tough
I
stretch.
wouldn't want to make a left turn out of there, especially if the clover leaf right there.
Well, you can go
sight
past
lines,
the
you know.
Cloverleaf to Old Riverhead Road by Red Creek
Yeah.
Park and get back around that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that
mean,
right turn lane starts somewhere along that stretch. I'm not exactly sure where,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a
yeah, left turns onto major roads are
Even
not
with
a
the
good thing.
turn lane there, it's
With
treacherous.
these are good examples of materials, and lately we've been asking applicants to come in with a rendering kind of street view, which is really helpful as Hampton Bays takes shape and all the discussions are happening. So that would be a helpful part of the
So
application.
photorealistic rendering image of the.
Yeah, street view from Montauk Highway,
Sure.
both directions, so that we can, just evaluate that.
Sure. And does that happen during the pre-submission, the conference, or down the line? When would you like to see that?
Well, this is the
Well,
This
this
is
is
a
a
work
work session.
just a work session.
So
the next
So
step-
if you have it for the pre-submission conference, that's
I
great.
think it helps
But it's
for
part
the,
of the
the
submission.
community will,
Okay,
That'll be open to the public.
understood.
So as soon as you can get the application together,
Yep.
we're happy to move along the process.
Great. Okay.
and the street front landscaping will come up.
We
I'm
have all
sure.
those old site plan issues.
Sure.
Great. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much for
Thanks,
coming in.
yeah.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
yes.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. And Claire, is your
Thank
Eastport
you.
Bubble Home item 2 in the works?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to item 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon.
Come on up.
We can, let's return that to
This came in for pre-submission, and at the time of the discussion, we wanted, kind of a work session, to become familiar with the project. The applicants here, we've just been missing each other, it's been on the agenda a couple times, but, so they're here to explain the project to you. Do you need a plan too in front of you? I have a couple of extras.
Now, we had the East Quad upgrade already.
Uh-huh.
When I first saw it, I said, oh, they're back.
Yeah. They're
It's
similar,
It's full.
similar, and
Little
there's
bit
three sets,
Thank you.
I'll share with you.
Sure.
Or JGF, David Gilmartin, Greenberg, Troy, 2317 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton. I have one of the members of JGF trying to assess it here and between us, hopefully he can answer all your questions. As you can see, it's a site plan application to upgrade a manufactured home community. I think it's important at the outset to note that manufactured home communities are regulated by HUD, not the town. So the site review of this is pretty limited to the landscaping, lighting. I think we have a gate that requires it. So it's a pretty limited review of the plan here. There are 93 units. We're in the process of upgrading them. We have 30 demolition and strapping permits for the sites on which the manufactured homes would land. I think 22 of those have been done so far, so it's a significant upgrade. The property originally got its approval back in 1960 and 64 from the Zoning Board of Appeals. And COs were issued for the 93, I guess we're calling units on the lot by the building department last March. So that's where we are. We have included the lighting plan and the landscape plan. And can answer any questions that you have, but look forward to talking to the public at the pre-submission conference public hearing.
Septic is gonna be individual.
Individual.
Yeah, so it's, I can speak that, under Article 6 of the 2020 amendment, anything that was approved by a town, village, municipality, or the health department prior to 1981 is grandfathered in. So that application is pending before the health department now, that's what Article 6 says. So we will be upgrading the systems based on that.
We'll all get IAs.
It'll be IAs, but because of how they determine flow, there was some shared systems.
Oh,
Bedroom
okay.
counts and square,
Yeah,
they
basically.
have a different flow rate than residential members.
They do, yep, yep.
Suffolk County Sanitary Code, Article 6.
That's amended in 2020.
Okay, thanks.
Division 5 that allows for anything that's approved by a municipality, village, or town that is not a residential subdivision, which this is not. If it received approval prior to 81, then it's grandfathered in what the code says. We filed that application and that was pending.
Okay, great, thanks.
That's Suffolk County Health Department.
That is, and the health department actually, in your submissions, is a stamped map from the Suffolk County Department of Health dated 1959 for 99 units.
And HUD regulates these units, you said.
Excuse me?
HUD regulates
Correct,
the units themselves.
yes. Building department issues a permit for the limited purposes of foundation and strapping for wind determinations.
Are you putting back the same amount of units that were there before
Less.
the like impact?
It's gonna be less.
Less.
And there's units that are not on pad sites that you'll see from the plan that are being removed once people move out. Because the previous owners had mobile homes that were not on
Not part of
sites,
that.
but have been occupied. So those people will remain until they leave, and then we'll eliminate those units.
And I think there was some question as to whether all the ZBA documents or town documents had been located last time we talked. Were they?
I have
All located?
copies of both CBA applications, 60 and 64. I can,
You have the approvals? No, I just
Yeah.
remember there was some question about finding everything, and just want to make
may
sure it
have
had been
said that
found.
They had site plan approval from that course, and I don't think there was site plan approval when they had the two decisions.
Much needed upgrade to the facility.
We'd like to get the landscaping in and get
Yeah.
it cleaned up for everybody over there as soon as possible.
Are there any issues that?
There were buffers established, and
Yeah.
when the ZBA came through, they have been compromised. They've been cleared over recently and probably over the years also. So that needs to be reestablished. I think they're 20 and 25 feet, depending on what location is. So that would be part of your purview.
That's what you have in the plans for that and the front, and just all of our internal landscaping that we're proposing with interior lighting.
Right.
As well.
So does this proceed as a site plan or is it residential? It goes as a site plan?
Yes,
So
because you're
we
not
have-
approving the number of units that's been established,
Right.
either by the ZBA and the health department prior, but that's something you have to, of course, verify with the building department that they agree that 93 is what, and to date, that seems to be what they're saying. But we just confirm that prior to reviewing the site plan application.
So this goes then to.
Well, we know there's.
Oh, it's ready.
Got the two COs.
Yeah.
83, one's 83, one's 10.
We got a pre-submission. Is that the next step on it?
Pre-submission. So they have submitted their application. You wanted to see this as a work session to get an understanding because you'll now receive some comments, I'm pretty sure, on this application. So you can proceed to schedule a pre-submission. How are we looking on someplace in September, right?
Keep in mind that we have 4.
Do you want to do
26.
solely for the 26? Yeah, then we can keep it later.
So what we have to do is, we're still a work session. So if are there any more questions?
Just-
What-
I presume the roads are existing and private roads?
Yes, they're
So-
existing private roads, we're proposing to repave them.
Okay.
Part of the application, we submitted drainage plans to the town engineer to review.
Okay.
There's no drainage currently on the site, so we put in catch basins, drains.
Okay.
So in that process, the roads get tore up and then put down in the same spot we're not proposing.
Whether it would have to go to road review is going to be one of my
No,
questions.
that'll be part of the site plan.
Yeah, it's a site plan with a site plan with the town engineer.
Okay.
So-
With the,
Go
there'll
ahead,
probably be, community feedback, and just as you saw with the prior application, it's often useful to illustrate the point, right? If you have before pictured, here's what we have now: the roads are flooding, the landscaping's out of order, the lighting's inadequate, and then what you're proposing is very useful at the time of the application.
The new code requires to go in because it's very young.
Sure, yeah.
And there's a variance from 2007 that the town board permitted them not to put in lighting. So we're just trying to put in lighting.
Right. Right, yeah, so I'm just saying, illustrating the current versus what's proposed isn't, a good bridge of communication. Thank you.
So Claire, did you say the application is complete?
Yeah, pre-submission, all you need is plans.
And these are rental units, right?
What?
These are rental
Yes,
or
there's owned and rented sites.
There's
So
both.
The plan is a site turnover to make them all rented, but there are owners there now. It's about 19 owner-occupied lots, approximately.
and you want to transition to rental?
Eventually.
Exactly.
At those, typically they would own the home, but lease the land from the.
Correct.
So Claire, what we do then is, right now, we close the morning work session. Do we want to set the hearing now as a walk-on?
I would say so.
Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll close the morning work session. We'll convene the afternoon regular session. We've done the attendance and meeting minutes. We have one walk, is this a walk-on or the?
Yeah, that was a good one.
We have one walk-on item, which is called Eastport Mobile Home Park. And the purpose, we need a resolution to deem the application complete and schedule a public pre-submission conference for August 26th, I believe.
September 26th.
September 26th, I stand corrected. Are we good on that, Kristen? Very good. Do we have a motion? I'm sorry.
Is that bad?
Can we go to October?
Yes.
The 26th is Brian's wedding anniversary.
Oh,
Don't do
that.
that. Time with you.
Not interrupt that.
That is on the,
Wow.
I just need to,
October 6th it is.
Hope she doesn't watch the meeting recording here.
I'm just looking at this week, no, that's not gonna work, so.
6 p.m. pre-submission. Need a motion?
October 10th.
Motion by Kate, second by Gloria. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions?
I appreciate that.
5 yes, 1 absent, and 1 vacancy.
Just as,
Thank you
as,
so much.
as we move forward, there is the opportunity for us to do the landscaping. So if the board sees a landscaping plan that it likes and says, go ahead, put it in, we're happy to do it tomorrow. So.
Yeah.
At least the front part.
Sure.
that
I'd like
would be-
to, actually, we'd like to reestablish the buffers in any case.
I'd be happy to get that
Maybe
going right
even
away.
interior, we
Yeah.
could look at.
Probably not in the middle of July, though.
Yeah,
No,
so
September,
Yeah,
September,
September's
time,
good.
that's why we bring it up.
let's do that, and maybe even discuss it in the daytime on October 10th, and that way you can go plants in
Yeah.
October. That'd be great, let's do
Right.
that.
Okay.
Right.
That's the-
Great.
Good idea.
And
Thank
you said
so
the
much
6th,
for
right?
that.
Yes.
10th of October.
10.
You're right.
Got it, got it, 10, perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. We are in regular session.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anthony, 9/11 is, are we doing an extension or?
No, it's just, we
Adjournment.
don't have to take any action.
Oh, no action.
Adjournment, but
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll give everybody another hard copy in case you don't have one.
Okay. Distributing any hard copies of.
I don't want to see it again. I really
Super
don't.
documents for 9/11, but there was no action.
No action, we'll be back next time.
Okay.
So with this one, you might see just some changes because I was told to add the list of variances for
Right.
the projects.
Right.
Can we just adjourn it though to a date?
We're
Just
gonna adjourn it.
so we keep it track of it.
Adjourn it till August 11th. August 8th, sorry.
Rena, were you ready to go with Surf Pro or?
Yeah.
You, Ryan, so you?
Sure.
Someone's here.
This is the Surf Pro site 495.
Right.
Road at,
Yep.
that's the one at McGee Street, at the corner of McGee Street.
Diagonal across from our favorite barn.
That's your copy, just.
We'll pass it now.
Pass those. One more.
Do you
Thank
want
you.
this as like notated for
Oh,
you?
there's
Oh,
no.
yeah, just, I don't know that we're gonna sign it today, but, I have it for you if we need to.
Keep it.
Anybody else
If
need
it
one?
comes down to it.
We've been discussing SECRA, and, the applicants, we've discussed it in May a couple of times. And we deemed it incomplete because the board required, a little bit further information, with chemicals and kind of waste, as well as cost access and traffic. I think on the part 2, I did, heighten the impact to moderate from small, so maybe based on today's discussion, if the board's satisfied, we could bring that back down.
Is that the groundwater, impact of groundwater?
The transportation, so
Transport-
one
oh,
on
okay.
page, it's page 8, item 13F. So the applicant is back with their agent to discuss the items that are still sort of open and in question. So the first part I have in the packet that I put in front of you is the part 3 narrative. And John, if you want to come up, please.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello. Just identify yourself for the record.
My name is Jake Vanderwood. I'm the agent. This is John.
Good to meet you. Come on.
So some of the items regarding the impact to groundwater were the cleaning waste, the nature and the quantity of it, the chemicals used, any storage on site for chemicals, and any CERCO protocols or safety data. The agent previously stated that they use CERCO brand cleaning products and they don't, they purchase as needed rather than store on site, and we can talk about that a little bit further. And then they stated that also that no approvals are required from other agencies. If you have any new information, we could just start getting into that. Maybe discussion since the last meeting.
Yes, I think where we left off was concerns about where are the materials stored, right? Because obviously you're not going to always use a full bottle of whatever material, so there's going to be, you know, you're purchasing as needed, but there is some storage on site. So what occurs if there's a spill, and then what if something needs to be disposed of? How does that happen so that we could mitigate any potential issue with groundwater if something's spilled on site?
Well, all the products that we use are in gallon containers, and we dispose of them in gallon containers after we go through it. We only want what we need. All the products are green products, so Serpro manufactures them themselves. As far as disposing, we use them on job sites. That's where they're disposed, and they're not dumped into a septic system or anything like that.
How are they disposed of?
I'm sorry.
How?
The container.
Yeah. So if there's residual, you're using up the entire bottle, and then the container goes into a dumpster and is hauled off.
Yes.
Okay. And so it's the responsibility from there of the carting service to identify what was in the dumpster. Okay. Is in any of the materials data sheets here, is there advice on how to dispose of extra material?
Yeah, the pages in the back.
Okay.
Black and white. And basically, the information that.
Disposal consideration. Okay. So section 13 on these.
Is it flammable?
To my knowledge, I'm doing this 19 years. There's nothing in it this time. It's just cleaning products.
Okay.
Nothing that's going to blow up.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be extra vigilant, you know, down one side down from the school.
Understood. Yeah. And when, again, if we order anything in bulk, which we usually order what we need as we need it, because we get overnight shipping from Central Corporate.
Right.
But we do have a cabinet in a separate room in the building that's on the highway now, that and then outside door that locks, you know, so it's confined that way and inventory that way.
And you'll have a dumpster on your site for bottles or, you know, containers that are used up and.
No, we do have a dumpster there, but that's for like demolition debris, you know, sheetrock, 2x4s.
That's what I was going to ask you. Sometimes, just house near me recently had a fire, and I saw, you know, it wasn't you folks, but I saw somebody take care of it. They had a large dumpster on site, I guess, so they wouldn't have to haul it all away, you
That's
know,
what we do
in
most of the time,
piecemeal.
is dumpsters on site we're working, and then carting company comes and hauls it away.
Right.
We have one pretty much for our whole stuff. It's like nights, weekends, holidays, and the dumpster company can't get to us. Then we have one in our yard, and when it gets full, we give them a call and take it away and swap it out.
How do we settle on the access, cross access to the site correctly?
Well, we discussed future cross-access, but maybe, when we referred it to the DPW, they are recommending a revised site plan to close access to 39, so all the access is from the East Street. The access to the property to the east already has a closed curb, so the discussion became maybe not a future cross-access, but, is that theirs? Oh, okay. They did cut the curb.
The
is that
fence,
what
there
you
was a fence between.
said? A fence was put up,
Right.
and it comes down, I don't know how close it is to the site, but it allows for, some, cross-access now. There was question of whether, there were any rights to the property of the east or any kind of easement in place. I don't know if you were able to dig anything up, but.
I don't think so, no. But on a very early Saturday morning, a little while back, in the last couple of months maybe, or less.
Yeah, that seems recent.
It is.
The cut.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
When was this cut to
the curb cut to the
Less than
property
2
to the
months.
east.
2 months?
The last I saw, there was a closed curb there.
One of my guys has a picture of a gentleman with a pickup truck and trailer and 3 guys cutting the curb on a Saturday morning.
So they got their own curb.
Yeah.
Wonder if they got permission for that.
Yeah.
We just want the cross access probably along the rear of the property. Allow them to get out to the East Street light.
I don't know if you folks have ever driven out on McGee Street on a school day.
Oh, yeah.
It's a mess.
They're stacked up.
And to filter two companies now out onto that road, it's just, I don't know how that's going to work.
When school's opening and when pickup time, it does get
It's
very busy.
It's wild.
Right. And you got Pooltastic right across the street there.
Yeah.
But the county would prefer to close your access on 39 and just have the access on McGee. Is that right? That's
For
what
their site, yeah.
they would. And that property to the right, whatever they're doing is.
Well, I don't know whether they got approval or not, but they apparently
They've
have
now
access
got-
back to 39. I don't know if the board still wants to request future cross access or
We're gonna need future cross access.
between the two sites.
Yeah, it's a huge liability. They get to an accident on our property and slip and fall.
It's relatively standard nowadays with all the properties we review on 39 and others. You may have just heard we were talking about that on other properties.
There is a building and a business immediately to the east of my neighbor, and they have access to what's the name of that street that borders it?
Henry Street?
Sabana. Yeah.
Oh, Sabana. Right.
It'd be much easier for them to go out the back of their property than to cut across mine. Less traffic.
But they only can go west.
If they go out the back?
Well,
no.
they'd go to the McGee light and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
you let it go east.
If I'm not mistaken, by Sidell Carpet. I know coming off of Sandy Hollow, you can turn onto that road and head west. But I think, I use it so often, I think you can go out onto the highway from right behind Sidell Carpet. I think that the road
You could go out west, but not east.
that from that direction.
Yes.
But also, if they go out that way and they take a left, they go down to McGee and take a right, you go out the back way and head east. We do that all the time. It's a lot easier than going on the highway.
How do you train your staff in terms of implementing the procedures in here? Because there's
We have trainers that we send them to, or they come to us.
okay.
From
Yeah, because I mean, just even these two, the Serve Pro Orange Plus and Serve Pro Green, what you were describing is that the container would be emptied there's still residual in there, but then sort of put into a dumpster. But then in here, it's saying that, you know, a material needs to be added to that to absorb.
What do you dispose here?
Right.
It says that a dumpster? And it has to be disposed like that? Is that what it's saying?
No, it's saying, what you were saying earlier is if you were on site, and I might have misheard. So I just want to understand the process of if you have a container, two scenarios. If you have a container that is on site at a job, and there may be residual in that container of either of these products that seem to have some risks to groundwater and could potentially be moving quickly through the soil to groundwater. How are those disposed of? How are those containers disposed of that might have residual in them? And then what if an accidental spill occurred at your site? Somebody knocked something over and, you know, the bottle broke.
We've never experienced that in 19 years of doing this. So they're pretty safe products. I understand, you know, there's a warning label and stuff like that. You can't recognize it, I get that. But you know, guys, you know, cleaning people who use it are very, very diligent, very responsible. You know, I've never had an issue.
So I don't know how this has been handled in the past where chemicals are stored on site, but are there any, you know, building code or, you know, regulations related to
the
that?
DEC, I think that's we had
The
somebody that
DEC
came
would-
in that they had to amend their site plan because I think that they had hazardous materials on site, so the DEC said that they need to be stored in a certain way, and they have guidelines. So if these don't meet those hazardous material guidelines, they may not have that. So
I think we need to see that assurance from the DEC that they've had the expertise, that they've reviewed how you're storing the materials, because just even looking, you know, the first time at these two sheets, there are definitely some of the concerns related to groundwater here.
it's DEC for hazardous material. You may not be hazardous. So whoever, you would probably speak to the county and they would be able to tell you what the classification is for this.
Yeah, there is, you know, on one of them, there's a fire concern and, you know, also accidental spill and health concerns. And then it also talks about, again, having looked at this just for the first time, the movement through soils. One of them says fast, one of them says slow, but there are also risks to aquatic life, right? And there's nothing super close to there, but I think we'd want to have a cross check with DEC just to make sure,
or the health department,
or the health department.
Whoever
I'm not sure who it would be.
Is the building going to be sprinkled?
Say again?
Is it, you're going to have sprinklers?
In the building I stand now?
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have windows on it.
Oh, so I mean the one you're constructing.
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, I think that's
They are sprinkled? Yeah. Okay.
Well, and then these also say use dry chemical or foam, you know, not water. So, you know, that's a cross check too. Fire marshal and DEC would be my,
Well, they're
or sorry,
sprinkling
health
the,
department.
they're sprinkling the, I'm more focused on the black chemical smoke plume from a devastating fire
Right.
wafting over the Tuckahoe School. I mean, the spill
Right.
is devastating too, but the catastrophic fire.
Mhm.
They have to do that outside of our jurisdiction, though. That's
Yeah.
beyond us. So, I mean, you can ask them to supply proof that they're in conformance with,
Yeah.
or
Those
they will be.
regulations.
They're going to be held in conformance with those regulations.
And we'll revert to the fire marshal.
Yeah.
Right.
Once,
He-
if you're satisfied.
He's very knowledgeable
Yeah.
of DEC
Yeah.
and health department issues with regard to
Yeah,
these
once we
types
can
of.
deem it complete, we can go down that road, or you guys can get started on your own.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like we potentially would wanna see more information before closing that category.
Where are we, well, we could do part of the site plan. What, are there any other,
Yeah.
are you ready to speak it today or?
I mean, we have a couple more things to discuss. Well, I guess we talked about transportation. It seems like the answer there is still call for future cross-access, right?
Right.
And then potentially, just because it's been a couple of months, we have the aesthetics category. If you wanna look at maybe plantings or further windows, at the last meeting you suggested, we'll refer it out to the ARB and have them review it, so I don't know if you wanna add anything or look at it a little bit further today. While we're doing secret, if you're,
Did we look at it? Do you have it? Stephanie?
well, here's the rendering to the side, some of the question was if you wanted further, landscaping on this facade facing McGee Street. And,
Oh,
and
okay.
potentially mirroring that on the east facade.
I
And
think we
then,
talked about something tall, foundation.
yeah, maybe here, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other side, it's the same facade, right, except
Yeah.
it's on the parking, so there's a walk path there, so it's pretty
Okay.
shallow. And on the, in the packet, I think, you have, there's building elevations on the County Road 39 facade, there's a blank wall at the warehouse, it's the portion that's set back. You can't see it in the rendering, I can pull it up. You added these, right?
This is the original rendering, but we told me to put in two more windows, so I guess.
Do you recall where? I have the elevations here.
Second?
Which side was the window on the
Yeah, I
east
think
side,
it was
right?
on the east side, yeah.
Okay, with the ARB.
Yeah.
ARB.
He's busy with new renderings.
Oh, okay.
You have new renderings?
We're busy with that.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about this, which fronts County Road 39, and this area is set back, that's part of the warehouse.
Yeah.
So that was sort of an open item, I don't
Right.
know if you wanna
Have planting
planting or breaking the window unless,
Yeah,
I don't
those
know if
like
that's the
tall-
issue
tall,
that you're talking
yeah,
about, but.
tall. They grow tall. Arborvitae, yeah, but the thinner ones.
Okay, so
Leaves.
plantings.
So we it's a very nice landscape, I have a solid one as an tree business, so.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, that'll help a lot.
Okay. So I don't know if the board wants to, make a determination today.
It's very
In general,
good.
most of the impacts are small to none,
Yeah,
unless we,
let's see if I can, pretty much most of this stuff we work out in the site plan, right?
yeah. The application is still incomplete based on the information. We got back from the town engineer, they still, they have a preliminary checklist that not all the items were met. So we
Yeah.
couldn't deem it complete today.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you wanna split it up and do the
Yeah, we usually
determination
do
today
secret
of
when we deem it
completeness.
complete.
Yeah,
Might as well,
well,
yeah.
you can deem it complete only after you've done the
yeah, we
secret.
usually do it in one fell
Okay,
swoop, and
so
that'll
we
give
can
you a
save it
chance
in-
to bring the revised architecture.
These four, on this first four items that were not complete, we're still waiting on the survey and engineering to get back to us.
Okay.
It's still in progress.
Okay, as soon as you get that stuff in, we can do secret, deem it
Okay.
complete.
And an
if you like
opinion
the
from the
drawing.
fire marshal about, the hazardous materials issue or non-issue or whatever.
Yeah, if you,
Are you gonna contact the fire marshals?
well, we wouldn't refer it until it's deemed complete, that's when
Yeah.
we refer it.
Okay.
I suppose there's nothing stopping me from contacting me.
So we can do it.
And I could give them.
It'd be nice to have an answer before we deem it complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that may change some of our answers on the groundwater issue that's kind of outstanding as a question mark too. If you investigate that and just close that loop, then we could say, no, it's not gonna be a problem because we have the information, right? There's no shadow of a doubt.
I don't know if it would impact the final cross-access issue or not, but I think finding out if the next door neighbor got a curb cut with a permit or not
Yeah.
might be
That's our
relevant.
question.
Yeah, and that might be might or might not be
Yeah,
relevant to
because
this
if
situation.
not, they have
But
to close
But
it again.
even if he did get permission from that, we typically like this, we usually would
I'd
ask
still
to
like it, but
still have a cross-access easement for future, you never know what could
if
happen
they
to the
were
issue.
to deny the
Even if it's
neighbor
just a paper,
access,
right.
I'm saying if they were to deny the neighbor access, then there's a question they may need access to this property. Well, it'd have to be a cross access. But yeah, it may not be an issue. Let's but I think we need to find out.
Okay.
Great. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Moving forward.
See you next time.
Rita,
Oh, for the town engineer.
The neighbor may need.
He meant he text, but that's not
Can
that's
you
access.
put
It's
this-
access.
Except it's in the office, if you could put it in Terry's box, you wanna write what it's for.
Prina, do you have one of these?
Thanks for coming in.
I'll
Thank
give you this
you.
copy, I'm
Okay.
happy to take another
Because-
one if you don't wanna hold on to it, or if you wanna
you
take a
guys-
photo back.
you can have
I have a
it.
couple for the file.
Claire, are you up?
I have plenty.
Thank you, see you next
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you. Claire?
Guys from South.
Calling on Claire.
Pardon?
He's from South Africa.
Okay, Claire,
Yeah,
right?
Oh.
You're back.
There you go.
I said no, you're the.
He was so long, I was like,
Yeah, no, he's in South Africa. Claire, there we are. Mr. Martin again. All right. Yep. 7 West.
So where we at is, we submitted an application and, coordinated secra.
Okay.
And nobody else wanted lead agency, so at last meeting, you assumed lead agency. A couple things that we would need to go forward is, one is that you asked for a traffic study with your pre-submission, so we don't have that yet, but I hear it's being submitted as we speak, so, of course, we'll review it and it'll look great right now, right?
And
And
we'll show
then,
that there's never gonna be a problem with traffic.
never.
No.
The
Traffic now.
the second item, and I gave a heads up to the applicant, is in the pre-submission, where I was concerned about, so the planning board was concerned about there's kind of two appearances to the building, it's a little offset. This side was okay for the planning board, but this side was a little blank, so they went to the ARB and they got some good feedback from the ARB. So I think there's been some revisions that are gonna be resubmitted to the ARB, to put some more features or change the look of the building. That actually the ARB commented to me that they liked the appearance of the back building better than their front building. I'm not quite sure if that's gonna happen, but they understood what the point was. The materials were good, but it just was kind of a blank wall in that space, and we'll add some features that'll break it up. I think those are the two big ones that I came up with the part 2. I've got the part 2 for you to look at. But I think with the traffic, we're not gonna be able to solve, do a secret determination. I'm not quite sure what you wanna do with this. Whether you'd want to hire someone to look at the traffic study or not, that's up to you.
We have the study.
We have it today.
You have it today.
I haven't seen it yet.
You gotta look at it.
Yeah. So, but those are the two. Let me just pass this out to you so you have it.
What will we do with demolition of the building? Didn't we give like a go-ahead on that or something?
Well, we're not there yet. My client's not there yet.
We're there.
He'd be more comfortable if they were further down in the process, I think.
Yeah.
Is his position.
Just curious, is there is there a benchmark phase where you
Where
pull
you
the
feel
trigger?
comfortable?
Pull the trigger on it? You can't speak for your clients, but they're here.
I thought you guys offered it when you first came in. Didn't you
Well,
offer it?
there's an opportunity to consider it, but as all land use lawyers will tell you,
I
you're
know.
taking a chance by knocking it down, and you and I had talked about a way to do that, but my client isn't comfortable. He's not here. This is Doug Alex, the architect, Matt's the engineer, and Keane's the traffic guy. So I've discussed it with him, and he's just not comfortable yet, and we'll get there. I can ask him where he'd feel comfortable. Hopefully he'll give me an answer other than approval.
Oh.
He understands, and the issue is we've been at this a long time, not with this board, but with the town board for a different type of project, and it took a long time, and he's sort of lost faith and patience with the process. And
Yeah.
it's fair, and it's not from this board. It was. So we had to pivot to this project, and we now have a tenant who's ready to go in, and we need to get through the process. So I'll find out from him, and I'll report back to you.
I know we had discussed also, like a community node in that front eastern corner, either, just some sort of, remember the work
Yeah,
session?
you were gonna talk to the civic
Civic
Well,
or maybe the
Hampton Bays
veterans.
beautification, I think.
being
Welcome
sensitive to the
Bays.
the sign is actually touching your property,
Right.
right? So that maybe creating some space or some landscaping that would enhance that, right? Wasn't that going to be a discussion with the civic?
I remember a discussion about the sign and our being okay with the sign there. I don't remember a discussion with the civic, but
I have
think
some
we
notes.
mentioned-
I have some notes from
I think
the
I mentioned
meeting.
talking to Hampton Bays beautification.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautification.
land,
sort of welcome
landscape.
node, maybe honoring first responders,
Well, they'll just move it to the middle of the traffic circle.
It's in the drawing board.
Yeah, we decided on when traffic studies should happen. And so with this traffic study, I know you haven't seen it, but is the timing does that meet?
we can
our-
report.
I can discuss it if you.
Well, I mean, it's,
The short answer is yes. Of course.
So the
We did
traffic,
as the board requested.
right? So, I'm sorry. I want to make sure I have this.
I thought it was spring and summer, and so I don't know.
We did, the 2 days we counted were in the early May, the second and third.
But I think
And
we
then you
talked
take that
about
story.
August. Bless you.
And for the summer, we used historic state data at the time from 2023 or whenever it was available from the state counts.
And we had targeted, I think, mid-April to May, mid-May as being one of the
Yeah,
And the other, I
exact-
think, was
typical times.
Yeah, the exact days were May 2nd, which was a Thursday, and then Saturday, May 4th, were the 2 days that were observed intersection.
Right. And I think there's been some discussion amongst the board as to whether a second study is necessary in general.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be helpful to know what was done.
But May 2nd, and that kind of falls in our window of one of the typical months, so the typical times. Is that?
Yeah.
I'll take a look.
Everybody want a copy?
I'll take a look.
This guy
Is it single-sided or two-sided?
Single-sided.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Thank you.
For a second there, I thought the whole thing was
That's
one
a-
report.
I thought
that
So this is more like a traffic analysis.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Have
Is that
crash
satisfactory to
data
the board?
in
We do
here.
not have crash data, we can provide it if it's requested. For this, we simply did the study in May, took that data we calculated in May that we observed. We increased it by the state's background factor for the town of Southampton, added in 2 projects which were given us by planning, which were the 192 West Montauk Highway and then Blessing Fields LLC to the left, to the west of the site. We added those into our no build, which is that 2-year growth between now and when the project will be finished. And then we superimposed on top of that no build our traffic or the expected traffic. This is with 2
Right,
office
what
buildings.
you'll generate, okay.
And then at the end, we compared the traffic activity that we'd expect for the 2 office buildings to what we would have expected if the diner was being reoccupied with, restaurant use. And we found that during all time periods studied, which is the 2 commuter periods, the AM and PM, the midday period and then the Saturday midday period, that the diner or, a similar high turnover restaurant at the same size put there would be higher traffic than the 2 offices combined. And then we also went in and looked at the state data that they had for the roadways for the summer. They didn't have Friday counts, so I'm only working off weekdays. But what we found was the May data was typically 20-ish% higher, the ones that we observed, than what the state had for the summer, time adjusted up to the current year. So what we found is you guys are right. It does seem to be, based off the state data, busier when we did the counts in the spring compared to the summer. So in that reflection, we figured because the May that we analyzed should be higher, that the Saturday would, not yield as crazy results. So we simply did it by numbers wise and have the May be the conservative analysis.
And being a medical building, you're probably not going to be open on Saturdays and Sundays, right? I
So,
assume
with the
maybe
standard
some
office.
medical buildings.
I
are,
know the way we get the traffic data for the proposed project is the ITE, the Institute of Transportation
Right.
Engineers.
Right.
They basically get data from all across the country for different uses, combine into land uses, and then create average rates. And they've removed the Saturday rate for standard office buildings and for medical office in the newest edition. So I think it's sort of accepted that it's going to generate, if it does generate stuff on Saturday, it should be less than the weekday.
Swanker's open
Right,
on
that's
Saturdays.
What's that?
Swanker Pasteria is open on Saturdays. I just know that for a fact.
But
I don't
Some
know
of
if
them
this
now
one
have
is, but
Saturday,
there are
right,
Swankers.
right.
But then in conjunction with the standard office building, which should be closed, it would still be lower overall site traffic than a weekday.
Right. Right.
We don't have that.
Okay.
So I would say through your accident, data. Although, again, in other discussions, I'm sure you're aware of this. 20 and 21. I guess we're kind of almost getting out of 3 years back to 2021.
Yeah, we're close.
Data was, out of whack
Yeah,
due to
typically-
COVID. But yeah, I mean, if you could do 3 full years, I don't know whether you can go quite back that far or not. But
Well, what we've been doing and what the state has accepted since COVID was we would do from 2017 to 2020, and we would analyze that 3-year span until we do get to that sort of full 3 years past like when reopening, usually like October 2022-ish.
right. I
So-
think what we did in a different recent one was just do 2 years instead of 3 years. To
We
get
could
the
do-
more
yeah,
recent.
we could do the 2023 to 2024.
I mean, I know it's not terribly difficult to get that data.
No,
Um,
depending on how
I-
fast the state likes
I
to
was
get
gonna say,
back
I
to
guess-
us, we could get it within a week or two.
I used to pull it myself when I worked here, and so I know. Yeah, I don't know how quick the state works. We were able to access it directly, but
Oh, I wish we could. Believe me, the state has jumped through a couple hoops. I have to do a couple FOIA requests, but it's usually they're pretty quick, at least with the way it works. But yeah, they're very secretive with how they give us the information.
yeah. Anyway, some trend of accident or 2-3 years or whatever I think would be very helpful.
Yes, we can definitely provide that.
I don't know how far you go, Springville to
Usually we just
or
get
Macy's or right at that intersection.
Yeah, usually we just do the whatever
Right.
intersections are studied.
Okay.
As once you get a little bit further out, it sort of starts merging into
Sure.
the existing traffic that's
Right.
being out there.
Right, I could see that. Yeah, then you'd have to look, because I looked at that intersection very carefully several times years ago, and as I'm sure it's kind of a funny intersection. So a lot of those reports are a little bit hard to decipher.
Yeah, it's
You've
it's a
got a
fairly-
lot of turning movements.
Yeah,
and
it's a fairly wide intersection, so you may have accidents which the state might not consider at the intersection.
Right, the
But we're
westbound
actually-
going north on Flanders Road had a significant number because of that turning lane and cars cutting across there. So there's a lot of, you're gonna have to read those very carefully. I
Yeah,
think.
well, what I can do is
Which I'm sure you
also,
do. I don't.
when I get the data, I can also try to request the police reports, whether or not the officer, in the field provided enough information that it bolsters the standard DOT reports. It's up in the air, but I can request that as extra information to try to help with that.
Right. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So traffic analysis good. We just want the accident data, and then maybe next meeting.
Sure.
If
Yeah,
you-
we've input from the ARB that I think is still outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
They
But there's a
didn't-
meeting on the 6th of August.
They didn't think they needed a meeting. They just
That's good. So if you
directed
just get it for
to
them, they can okay it.
And we're gonna get it early next week to them.
Okay, perfect. That'll answer that question, and then
Have it back on the 8th.
yeah, I'll put it on for the 8th, and then I'll put in like a little blurb about the gateway, even if it's just like a landscape area in the corner. Yeah. So which I think I'm sure you'll be fine with. And
Have you had
Try to
that
talk
with
to
your
Susan
renderings?
that would be great. Thank
So
you.
that's great.
They just need sketches.
Mhm.
Change it. It was really done.
Anything else? I think that's pretty much it. Take a look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
We'll go through it formally on the 8th, but that's good.
So when they can decorate the building.
Okay.
What's
I said, you want to know so when they can decorate the building?
And then if we give you a secret determination, will you demo the building? That's a negative determination.
But you can't leave a big hole. I remember Jackie was concerned about there just being a big hole there, if I remember right.
I'll certainly be able to answer that on the 8th.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
We'll go from there.
Oh, it's on our radar.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Thanks
Thank
for.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, he has to stay. He has to
Oh, stay. Okay. You in for the next one?
Yep.
Yes.
Aria T.
Aria T.
Great. You want me to provide this for you, also?
Please, that'd be great.
Thanks for the information.
Hampton Bays, these spots. What do we look
I
at?
know.
These
Lots of
Applications?
applications.
Center of the universe here.
So this one is the 3 buildings that are total 29,000 square feet that are the ZBA is considering. So they coordinated lead agency with you. You indicated that you requested lead agency. They relinquished lead agency at their last meeting, and today's action will be assume lead agency. But I kind of wanted to go over the part 2 with you, so that whatever the determination is at the next meeting, we could just tie it
Where
up.
is this again?
This is the one next to Tortorella's sites. It is a vacant piece of property. It is 3 acres.
Would it have the condos?
No. This is just a vacant piece of property. It's got the 3. I got a couple of copies of this. If you don't mind passing it down. I have another one too.
Oh.
This is the part. So in this case, you did a pre-submission report. This was October of last year. You were concerned with the variances for this total square footage. The planning board finds that they do not support the variances and finds the variances are substantial and the uses are intense. So traffic analysis shall be submitted with the site plan application to include truck turning radius and cross access. And then review site plans for cross access. So I think a traffic analysis is what's needed to do a secret determination on this project. So those are the 2 big uses I see. Also appearance of the building. I do have elevations here. I think the board wasn't too troubled with it, but it is a large appearing building, the front building, the one that's that is going to be the top one. Not quite sure. It is broken up a little bit, but it is a lot of stonework, and it is supposed to be an office building. So
I think we also talked about this one maintaining a buffer along Montauk Highway, just so that, you know, however the architecture fleshes out, it's kind of tucked away back, and you're keeping that road frontage kind of wooded appearance.
Yes, there was that. And you're that's a
What
good memory.
What variances are they seeking?
Building over 15,000 square feet. So it's 29,000 total. So natural area, planning board finds the natural area in the front should be retained. And you gave a couple examples of 182 and the 194 West Montauk Highway, which is the McDonald's parcel with Stop and Shop. So that's what you said about that, with the buffers and the natural buffer in the front. So I'll put that under the part 2 also.
So normally they would be allowed only 15,000 square feet.
One parcel.
one park.
So this is the variance that has been applied for along this stretch a couple times,
Immediately next door.
immediately next door. They go to the zoning board of appeals and they argue that they can split it into 3 lots and then achieve even larger lot square footage. And the zoning board of appeals to date has granted those variances. So.
Oh, they received the variance.
Not yet, because this is in the secret process. So you're doing
Next door was
secret.
the puppy mango, is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly, it's next door.
Oh.
Yeah.
When
I'm
was-
sorry, I could pull it out. Sorry.
Yeah, that was the argument in the puppy mango.
It was. It was 2008, I think you may ask
Yeah.
when the date was.
Thank you.
April 17th, 2008. The argument is you could subdivide it into 3 lots and then build 15,000 square feet on each lot.
So these total about 24,000?
29.
29.
Yeah, so the car lot is to the west. So traffic is, I think this is one thing, that would have to be just the analysis being done on this property before doing a secret determination, as you requested in the pre-submission report.
So yeah, you see how Tortorella does have a significant buffer along Montauk Highway and then just allows for their driveway. That would be
Maintain that.
good to maintain that type of design.
You have the septic.
They might need, I was gonna say, they might need to change the septic to the back of the building.
Right.
I don't know if they can.
You can put septic in the parking, can't you?
The parking area.
I mean, they
Yeah,
separate
there's
buildings.
a lot of room.
I don't think so. Houses do, not commercial.
Not commercial?
No, as long as it's traffic bearing.
You can actually get better access in the back than the front if you need to service it or anything.
Where is Montauk Highway on this map?
On the right side.
It's not labeled. Yes. Is it labeled? 'Cause I can't.
It's not labeled, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm not losing my mind.
Exactly.
Well, and in this case, so the argument to the ZBA is, you know, it's less about the total square footage and more about the community character and like what we just talked about in Bridgehampton, to chop things up into smaller pieces so that it's not, you know, like big box situation. I don't know what control we have over that, if the ZBA has granted it. But
We
it's
haven't granted it yet.
It's documented.
You are doing the secret for them too.
And a lot has changed since 2008.
Right. It seems to me that if you want less building, this is the plan to go with. I don't know what the owner of the property would do if you had him subdivided to achieve what he wants to achieve, if you would look to get more through that process. But if you want less building, this is the plan.
Can you explain less building?
Well, 45,000 square feet is the max you could do if you did a 3-lot subdivision, 15,000 square feet each lot, and we're only asking for 29 under this, 29,000 square feet.
Is it possible to do
16,000
3
square
lots?
foot difference.
Which they'd have to
Yes.
be flag lots.
Yeah, it was done next door.
And can you fit 3 15,000 square foot buildings in that if it's subdivided?
I think it's an exercise that they do before the zoning board of appeals. I've seen it in previous iterations, but haven't seen it this time.
It's what was done in Poppy Mondo.
Right, so less building in terms of square footage, but less building in my mind is smaller buildings in a community that is not, you know, Route 58 in Riverhead. That's really what we're trying to avoid, I think. I'll speak for myself, but you know, having that buffer along the roadside helps if the project does go forward as planned in this way, because then you're, you know, shielding that view shed and kind of tucking that industrial viewpoint to the back and maintaining the community character. character.
I think that's why the smaller building was up front to screen, and it's actually the same owner of the property, so I don't think he would object to any.
So
buffer up front.
moving your septic to underneath the load bearing under the parking lot in the back and just keeping what's here and just doing your curb cut as the clearing.
Subject to the engineer signing off on it, I have to make sure it's okay with that.
Sure. But you'll check.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay. Okay, so I got some guidance. I'll prepare some documents for the next time. We definitely need the traffic analysis. If we don't have that, we can act.
Just on it, one
Have
that,
you taken?
Yeah, we're going to today, yes.
at the back of the lot, that, is that a drainage basin or what's?
I know, I looked at that
Looks
too.
like
It
a
looks like a
boomerang.
depression. Is it a rain garden?
Oh, I don't know. I'll find out, I don't know.
Because it actually shows, I mean, it arrows almost shows that it is driveways. Arrows, and you have, it almost looks like asphalt because they have storage. There's a couple fenced areas, storage containers.
Yeah, it just looks like a
Right, you
depression.
can't go behind.
Whether they're gonna, yeah, so
I mean, it's a
obviously-
gentle depression.
Yeah, it just looks like a depression.
So there's no drainage or anything. It's not sure what it is.
Do we know what's gonna go in these buildings?
Only office is the only thing called out on the front. The other two are
Warehouse.
warehouse.
Right. Warehouses aren't as high traffic volume generally. But do you know, like gonna be mini rental
don't-
thing, mini storage or anything?
I don't know, he hasn't talked to me
Share
about, possible tenants. I don't know if he has.
I would suggest that they be not just warehouse, but special trade contractor, because it seems to be the highest things I see the most in these kinds of areas, so.
Right.
Which is, a little bit more parking, but it gives flexibility.
Right.
And then in the climate action plan, I can't remember if there's reference to more plantings, islands in the parking configuration, because we're taking a mature wooded lot here and developing that. So if we can add some additional softening to that parking and
Dumpsters,
concrete,
I guess.
I mean,
that would be
that's been something
important.
coming out of the conservation board, every referral.
Right.
I don't see
Yeah.
drainage anywhere on this.
You're right. Yeah, those are probably.
That's a good point, yes, and then there's a
Probably
requirement, if you have
generator.
more than 50 parking spaces, you provide
Generator.
interior landscaping.
okay.
That is definitely, so I'll have
So
to make
we'll
sure I
see
put
that
that in
on
there.
the
I'll put that on
plans.
the plants and animals.
And I see basement on at least the back warehouse. I guess, are those gonna be finished basements or what-
Building
more
on that.
storage or? Yeah, just the building in the back. Okay.
I don't see any of this one.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, they don't show it.
Okay.
Because that's a big basement.
So I would suggest that you assume lead agency, and we'll have this on when we have the information for the traffic.
Take that now.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion to assume lead agency? Motion by Gloria, second by George, all in favor. Aye. Opposed, abstentions? You have 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacant.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Anthony, are you ready to jump back in? Yeah. Are you going to go in order, Lewis Road? Okay. Item 764 Lewis.
Thank you.
66 Lewis. The name of the application is 64 Lewis Road.
Yeah.
The location is 66 Lewis Road.
I can assure you that Kerry in our office, who does all the administrative work for these applications, came in, yelled at me on this one. but they wanted to call it that. Everyone remembers this property. It's on Lewis Road.
Yep.
Give you sort of deep up there, you can sort of see where they've worked on the golf course project. So front's on Lewis Road, and this road back here, Damascus Road. It's in the CR80 zoning district. It's roughly 5.83 acres. It's also in the Central Pine Barrens Compatible Growth, the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, and the Agricultural Overlay District. The applicant submitted, and I took this over for other planners.
Okay.
It's a 3-lot plan, the board might recall. It's an existing residence on the property that will be located this on the first lot. And then you have the 1 lot. 2 lots from Damascus, one of them fronts on both.
Right.
3 lots. That conservation easement, or before I'd seen easement, you see on the bottom, that's off-site, that's on the adjacent property, by the way, so.
How does that work?
That's from a different subdivision or a
Okay.
different, yeah. It was very confusing when I first looked at it, I didn't realize. So you could go to page 2 of the report. This is a minor subdivision. It is classified as a type 1 action. The Ag Overlay District throws it into type 1, so the applicant will need to submit a long EAF and we need to coordinate. The park requirement, it actually will be satisfied with a park fee in this case. We had a hearing on April 24th. It was closed with a 30-day written comment period. We did get comments from a neighbor right across the street here in Damascus who objects to the additional density, requesting buffers, protection of trees along Damascus, and would prefer the access to those lots beyond Lewis Road. Looking at this with Tom and the board and some other planners, we probably want to maintain the access on Damascus for those 2 lots and limit.
I think the gentleman was more concerned about the vehicles, the
Yeah.
extra cars.
Yeah, for sure.
That was
For sure.
But
it's
that's a private route, so we'll have to do. Is
Damascus is a town road.
It's a town road.
It's a town
It's a town,
road.
and
Probably
there's
improved.
6 houses or something on
You'd
it, I
have to
think.
go
or-
for road review, right?
Probably.
That's
Yeah.
what I think. But not if it's a town.
It's a town road, no.
Mm.
Yeah. But there's only half a dozen houses on it.
Yeah, just a handful of them.
That's
It's
right.
not subject to the affordable housing regulations. Town engineer provided comments, which we'll include obviously in the report, and the applicant will need to address them. A lot of it has to do with standard engineering stuff. He mentioned about the ownership of the scenic easement parcel, so 3-inch rainfall. It's located in Aquifer, and it says clearing calculations, and we'll get to this just so the board knows, the applicant's aware of this. This property has, the history of a lot of, you can sort of see the property's got spotty vegetation, but it has, revegetate to some extent. The applicant is aware of this. I believe she's putting together a re-veg plan for all 3 properties. So she's going to bring them into compliance with the clearing restrictions, as opposed to getting a pre-existing determination. So that's not bad. So we'll deal with that at the final, actually. Let's see. The Town Conservation Board provided comments. What are they saying? Yep, they're mentioning clearing calculations. Both existing and proposed clear limits along with need to be provided. So, yep, they want to know the clearing calculations, which is fine. They talk about some debris which would need to be removed, and there's no regulated wetlands. The Office of Fire Prevention provided fire comments, and is noting that they'll need a fire hydrant for this because apparently there's nothing in and around the area. But while we're here, let's take a look and see. Oh no, they're right. They're pretty far away. So they may have to put in a hydrant somewhere to deal with this subdivision.
Would that mean they'd have to bring in county water for the houses?
No, the water is in the street here. That I could see.
Okay.
So that's what this blue line is. So you can see the blue line. There's public water in Lewis and Damascus, actually.
Okay, so there's just not.
Yeah,
They
it's
have
just
to
they don't have a
hook up to a
hydrant.
fire hydrant.
That's right. All right, so we'll get one here. You know, the historic district provided comments. You know, this house has been there for some time, around 1920. So they do recommend that if there's going to be any demo, that they have to go to the historic board. That's automatic, actually. That our building code requires it. So even if we weren't involved, if they went to go demo this, they'd have to go to landmarks. In this case,
What's the age?
1920, the house was
Yeah,
built.
right, but what's the rule to have to go to?
75 years.
Okay, thank you.
So they're proposing to relocate that house already.
Is that what it shows on there?
I thought you mentioned.
No, I think they would. I think they're keeping it here, actually.
Oh, they're going to keep it.
They're going to keep it there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. So they mentioned that. Yep, they talk about protection of the trees. You know, again, the historic nature of this property is what they're talking about, the views and, you know, the fact that some trees, some nice trees have developed over the years. So they want to see those protected too. Yep, so they say demolition. You know, they're recommending, or the landmarks board would like to see some type of open space subdivision. But you know, we've looked at this before. I know I brought it up at the board. It's not adjacent to anything. We probably, and by the way, getting somebody who's willing to do the re-veg on something that had some pre-existing clearing, we probably could accomplish more through that.
Yep.
So we'll do that.
And it'll provide buffers for the houses.
We'll provide buffers. Highway department is going to require a hold harmless. That's pretty typical in and around these areas where you have potential flooding issues. So we got comments from the Trails Advisory, and that's where this easement comes in. They were looking at this easement on this map and thinking that it was a proposed conservation easement. Interestingly, they recommended, and it says, and you'll see it in the report, you know, there's no trails. You know, we have the trail layer on. There are no trails in and around this area. They were mentioning using this conservation easement to create some access between Lewis Road and Damascus Road is what their recommendation is. That's basically what it is. But they're recommending it on an easement that is not proposed on this property. I got to be honest with you, I just don't know if we would do that. I mean, you could consider it, but if you said to me there was a trail network somewhere in and around this area and we could get them there, okay, but just to make the connect, and they said even in their memo that this would be an amenity appreciated by the neighborhood. So we're looking at trails. So I think we would probably not require it in this
Even
case.
I have to agree with you.
So on the recommendations, compliance with the requirements of the engineer, the historic resource, so if demolition of either existing building is proposed, they would have to go to landmarks for review. Indicate the removal of the existing driveway within the 50-foot wide, there's a spelling there, scenic easement. So yeah, they show some activity going on down here, and we've got to get that addressed. And the applicant is aware of it. I've already spoke to her. Provide the clearing calculations for the tract, as well as the individual lots, and then provide a revegetation plan, which she is working on. Removal of the building envelope from the map. I guess indicate that any debris that the Environment Division noticed out there is going to be removed. Show the 50-foot wide scenic conservation buffer along Damascus Road. Said buffer shall allow for driveway act. I don't know what that is, to be quite honest. So we're going to take out number 7. That was probably just an error. Access to lots 2 and 3. So that's the 2 new lots, the one up here and the one back here. We're saying take Damascus. That makes the most sense, and I think we would be okay with that. And Lewis Road would be prohibited. Oh, I said, okay, show a 50 wide scenic and conservation buffer along Damascus Road. Said buffer should allow for the driveway access to lots 2, 2, and 3. So I was recommending maintaining a 50-foot buffer here. There's a lot of good trees.
Yeah.
And you know, we could consider that as part of the clearing when they do that.
Sure.
So we would maintain a 50-foot buffer and allow for the 2 driveways, so like we would any other buffer. Lewis Road, it was harder, you know, to establish in some respects because you have existing structure sitting right here. So I sort of left it as a open discussion if you thought some buffer along Lewis Road would be necessary. You know,
I don't know what's there, you know.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean, you know.
conservation board, you know.
Having been out there a while ago, this much better back here. There's more, to preserve.
Yeah.
This is a little more.
I mean, the
difficult.
reality is, that's gonna be their backyard, so they're gonna plant that out anyway.
Right.
You know, without us having to oppose the condition.
Understood. So we'll do the 50-foot buffer on Damascus then. I had in there outlined the trail advisory recommendation, but we discussed that. And I think with that, I covered everything.
Very good. Do we have a motion to adopt the report?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria.
Second.
Second by Kate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy. Are you ready to go with Tuckahoe Orchard?
Yeah, that's all good.
Kate. Can you pass the basket in? Oh, yeah.
After you take
It's
some.
that time. It's that time.
You want it?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Hold on.
Where's any others? There's any others? 14
All right.
Nope, no others.
Just when you look at these aerials, a lot of times you'll see they're skewed, so it looks like there's houses or structures that are encroaching. These structures are not on this property, and the survey does show that. Let me get the map out for the board. You got a map, Wayne?
Yeah.
I'll let Wayne handle that. Wayne represents the
Tuckahoe
applicant.
Orchard.
He's also here to tell you that my resolution was impeccably written.
One step at a time.
Self-praise is of no value.
So this is a 2 lots, a planned residential cluster plan with 25% open space. The property is on North McGee Street, way up there north of Sabonic Road. And it's largely vacant. There might be some ag-related mini structures on there, but it's vacant.
Is this the one where Eileen came in, alleged that there's encroachment? Eileen Powers came in?
No, not on this.
Is it another map similar right up the road?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They're narrow, so there's a lot. In fact, this one had some encroachments because there's a narrow strip here, and they were encroaching on the back. And when this first came to light, we immediately went to them and to the neighbors and had all the encroachments taken off, fence put in.
So it's R40 zone. It's in the New York State archaeological sensitive area, but it's not in aquifer or any other overlay districts. You can see behind the property to the east, you have a lot of preserved land.
Yeah.
Got a nice trail network. Obviously, this is the Palmanock. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's in
Yeah, the
black and
white
white.
dots.
So you can see from the map the proposals for 2 lots, one in the front, one back here. And then there's much of this property is cleared where the lots would go. All the vegetation in the back will be preserved through the open space, which is proposed to be dedicated to the town. So
Is there something in the back of that lot? Or is that?
all of this is not on this property.
Oh,
this is
okay.
this is our GIS just skewed. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the encroachments
you
were
were-
related to that house, though.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
like
their activities and lawn and garbage bin had just spread over.
Yeah.
That happens.
Resolution.
The other thing that
Is it
Anthony
scented?
didn't indicate, so, yeah, the front part was cleared and used for an agricultural related landscape business, which has since ceased and disappeared.
That's what the big
And hence
open
the
space
Tuckahoe
there.
Orchard
Yeah, yeah. This area, though, this map shows slopes of 30%, which you asked on the pre-app for us to show. And so this area was more or less leveled and, you know, a lot of steep slopes and so on. So when Anthony talks about the steep slopes, this was from the pre-app map. He's asked us for revisions, which will show that affect Lot 2 and the southerly side of Lot 1 to show, an area that will protect and not disturb.
It's not disturbance. No.
Yeah, some type of, and I have it in here, so. So yeah, you see the map, description R40. If you look at the resolution,
Go to the conditions.
we can do that. Well, do you want to go through any of the,
Findings?
not the findings, the referral comments?
Oh, sure.
So just go to the page 2. We made referrals to the engineer. And actually, I could be honest with you, most of this has been addressed already, and anything else has been incorporated into our approval. The speedy stuff, his requirements, the covenant, it's all been included, the 3-inch rainfall, and then anything else that has to be added to the map. By the way, the other side of it is when I spoke to Tom, he made comments because he was looking at a map that indicated that there was going to be a common driveway. When we had the discussion initially, we said that in this particular area we didn't need a common driveway, so there's no common driveway. So
No comment.
there's no common.
Yeah, that was, we had that discussion.
Yeah.
One of our maps indicated such, but we realized that wasn't necessary, so at the pre-app and your pre-app report said it wasn't necessary, but I think this is a vestige of which map is he looking at, so.
So the only thing front lot, we wouldn't want a driveway any within 50 feet of that. We want to keep that 50-foot separation. Yeah.
Okay, so you could add that, I think that's reasonable.
It's typical, so you don't have two driveways like side
Yeah, that works. Our fire marshal provided comments, very standard, no recommendations for any further fire protection. You might recall we had a very robust discussion about the Trails Advisory Board, made some recommendations about revising the map. If you take a look at this, we have a pretty extensive trail network running in and around this area. At the end of the day, their recommendation was that they wanted to try to, since we're getting some open space here, they wanted to try to get a trail link, from back here to North McGee Street. Right now, I believe there's an existing easement. Is there an existing easement here, Wayne? Do you know?
I don't know, but, at the meeting, they indicated that this was the map they provided you, which is based on, I think, what Anthony is showing, where the existing, they said this is existing, that there may not be a permanent instrument for that, and so they're just thinking about the future if that ever disappeared, and they saw the opportunity here to just suggest something, and I think I suggested 2 things to the board. Number one, if you look at the physical conditions, it's probably not appropriate to do that. What they were suggesting is modify the map. The open space area would be reduced further to the east, and we'll have a 40-foot strip come down the north side. You'll still have your 25% open space, but that could be a potential trail. Well, the other thing was, so physically, we don't think it's appropriate, number one. Number two, there's no existing trail system on this property at all. 3 is that, among other things, when you go to the health department, they require a covenant when there's open space for open space, which has already been recorded. The practicality of going back and redoing all that is troublesome. But more importantly, this is like, hey, here's an opportunity that we'll try to get something. It's not part of our system. The trail doesn't, all it does is go out to the public street. It's nowhere even up near where you're connecting the open space at all. So it's not part of a trail map.
Are they trying, I mean, you have context on this, Are they trying to cut it down so that you're not going on the street down there?
Well,
if you scroll down a little?
I mean, you try not to have the street walk, but the idea of a 40-foot strip to maintain that is my question. More than likely, it would be encroached by the homeowners. So you're better off just having a square in the back where you could fence it so that it doesn't become used by the back lot homeowner.
It also, the plan they came up with also, changed the whole, it made the lots narrower, which affected the building envelopes. They propose now a common driveway, which we didn't want involved with, but more importantly, lot 2 now is, the building envelope still remains but gets shrunk, but because of all the slopes. So we were incorporating, you know, a good portion of all the slopes in the open space, and that would all be protected by the town. So I think for all those reasons, my client is not in favor of modifying the map or offering the trail at this time.
I mean, look, we're getting some open space here that will contribute, you know, to the existing. You know, we have an existing trail network here. People could get all over the place. You know, I don't know the board's opinion. You know, it's going from here to here to make this connection that they're asking for vital to the trail network. That's,
But
you
it's
know,
not going to a trail.
it's just going to a road.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was not advocating for it. More just asking, you know, what's the context here? Why
And
they
it-
want
you know,
it.
I sat here with this board. We've got
'Cause it
trail
doesn't
easements
really
on
make
many
a lot of
projects.
sense.
I mean,
before.
if you can
They said
avoid
at the
trail
meeting is
walking,
that because this is
it
not
walks-
a
road
permanent
walking.
easement, that it may disappear, which to me is
Oh,
like
I
they
see.
should be making efforts, that's where the existing trail is, to get whatever is
Require that.
necessary. But on the other hand, they were thinking about in the future if that ever disappeared.
I see.
So this would be an alternative, but I don't think it's a good alternative at the expense of our clients.
Got it.
The Town Conservation Board provided comments. Actually, they just noted that the open space plan is their preferred plan. They do note the long-eared bat. That's ingrained now into the requirements of law. So, and I'm pretty sure the building department is going to be required to oversee it because most of the clearing that occurs with a building permit application.
Yeah.
So, but we do note there. So those are the comments. I'm going to have a resolution to approve. First resolve map changes, any revisions required by the town engineer. I say note a slope protection area covering slopes 30% or greater on lots 1 and 2. Show the postal delivery house numbers for each lot. Lots 1 and 2 are subject to R20 setbacks. Add a notation to the map regarding covenants and restrictions affecting the lots. F is a notation, the signature line that has to be signed by this board. 2, removal of the gate post on the west side of the property in town right away prior to signature. Number 3 and 4, subject submission of declaration of covenants and restrictions. No further subdivision of the lots. No lot line changes without planning board approval. There shall be no clearing, grading, ground disturbance, or construction of any structures within the steep slope protection area shown on lots 1 and 2. No new utility poles for overhead utilities, and all utilities shall be installed underground. We have a 3-inch drainage for rainfall, retention of all stormwater and erosion sediment control on site, and then H is the cover under the Speedy's general permit. I see that what Tom is doing a lot of times is because you don't know, it's all for an acre of land or more. But he likes to look at everything in the totality. So he's been putting covenants so people know that before they get a building permit, he's going to require something. So that's what we've basically been doing.
But this isn't a required SWIP.
He says in here that he put in the property owners on notice that they may be required to do a SWIP. Yeah. 5, the submission of the deed of dedication.
Actually, before you're going to add the covenant and the map note about what Dennis asked for, the separation of the driveways.
Yes, it's a 50-foot separation from driveways. We will add that. Submission of the deed of dedication to the town for the open space and the town board acceptance of same. Submission of a mortgage consent if applicable, title certification, town attorney approval of all legal documents, submission of the Mylar and paper prints, and then submission of documents for signature, and then has to be filed within 62 days.
Do we have a motion? Motion by George.
Second.
Second by Kate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Thank you.
5 yes, 1 absent. Thanks, Wayne. And 1 vacancy. Anthony, you want to keep going?
Yeah, 200, the next one, 200 West Montauk Highway is just going to be an extension until August 8th.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Kate.
Second.
Second by Gloria. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy.
Dennis, I'm just going to do my last 2 because they'll be quick.
Last 2, got it.
So I can get
Where are
out.
you taking us, Anthony?
Number 18, Stella Luna.
18.
That's only been lingering for the last 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
You know that one. It's been going on for a long time. We've been deeming this thing, we had a final application that came in. Actually, a conditional final approval had been granted at one point. Then another application came in. It got very confusing. I took it. I didn't work on this. We deemed it incomplete. I finally got a new health department approval for this application. So they gave me the new health department. You remember the subdivision, Dennis? So now we're ready to finally deem this thing complete again and schedule this hearing for September 12th.
I think they've got water down there too now.
Yeah, they do. It's all that. Yeah, actually, you can see it, Dennis, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it first surfaced, the whole issue with water.
100%. The public water changes everything when you get it.
Oh, yes.
So you said
September
September 12th,
September 12th.
not August 22nd.
That's correct.
September 12th, that's a motion by Gloria. Second by George, all in favor. Aye, opposed, abstentions. 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy. And you're going to do Razuel?
I'm just going to do Razuel. It's actually just going to be you'll remember this when you see it. It's about the drawing here.
Yeah.
We did this weird lot line, complicated lot line. Turned out to be a complicated lot line. This was a subdivision that was approved with 4 lots. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was a lot line change that was approved, actually. So everything is said and done. There have been some expirations, some extensions, and all the rest of it. This was actually just a reapproval of the Razuel lot line modification, subject to all original conditions of approval.
Sounds good.
A question. I saw some verbiage in there about protecting ag soil. Is this going to just be a subdivision?
It's already a subdivision.
So
we were just doing lot line changes of these
so
lots.
there will be no
They're farming it right now, but they could go tomorrow and get building permits and put houses on them. Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria. Second by George, all in favor?
Aye.
All abstentions. 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy. And who's your, you going?
Yeah, we can, well, Wayne is here, 16.
16, let's do it.
This is the, North Edge Stables.
North Edge.
Hampton, we discussed it at the last meeting, it was on for work session and then, a hearing shortly after. When our counsel for the applicant and I discussed potentially referring it to the Ag Advisory Committee.
Yeah.
Just to better, I suppose, inform their final application. Typically, it's atypical, so I thought I'd put it on the agenda, discuss it with the board. If you agree to refer it to them. We typically wouldn't do any of those referrals until we deem it complete in the formal site plan, and we simply just do CAC. There's no Bridgehampton CAC at the moment. So I don't know if you agree if it's if you think it's appropriate or if you think it wouldn't hurt.
Wayne, did you want to be heard on this?
Yeah, I actually raised the question, and I wonder sometimes the purpose of pre-submission is to get everybody's input. One of the things you don't do is actually make all the referrals you would do at the final stage, and some of that is understandable, but this might be one of those cases we'd like to maybe hear from the Ag Advisory Committee earlier than later.
I mean, there was some community objection, and so having.
Not really. We didn't hear anything on this.
We got some
We
letters.
got letters.
Oh, we haven't seen those yet. But.
So having the Ag Advisory Board opine, I think, would help the community to understand what Ag Reserve means.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I agree.
So, what's our timetable then?
Well, we could defer it this week.
Okay.
Potentially.
Then once we get the report, we would have a pre-submission conference?
No, we already held the conference.
Oh, okay.
We're in the 45-day period now. The
okay.
comment period will
Right.
close, I believe, August 12th, and the report is due after that, or the next meeting. So I don't know if we'll receive any comments in time for the report, but we can have it
They
on.
meet, I think, the third Monday.
Yeah.
So I think we would get it before the 22nd.
Their meeting?
Yeah, I think so. We could double check it and maybe
Well,
we
we'll
get
see.
an extension. Yeah.
Let's try to get their input as early as possible. We would appreciate it.
Do you need a resolution for that?
No, it's
Okay.
just, it's an internal referral, but we just wanted to, it's not typical, so we wanted to clear it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, great.
makes sense.
Thanks,
Wayne.
Thank you.
Claire, are you?
My things.
Bridgehampton Market, Cinderella?
Yes, this was on for discussion a couple of meetings ago. And the applicant asked if they could present it in 4 members at a time. Obviously, it's 5 members now. Just quickly, again, this is a request to put umbrellas above the in Bridgehampton. Because it's in the new Bridgehampton Main Street Bulls Head Inn Historic District, we referred it to Landmark. So I do have their comments, and they did approve it, subject to the wording right. Colored umbrellas, material not to be shiny and without luster. So.
Can you describe how they're attached? Like, is there any
Yeah.
risk of
So
it
it's a
blowing
string.
away
This
into
would
traffic?
be seasonal.
Or
Yeah, this would be seasonal, obviously, but it would be like strung on
cables,
yes,
or
right.
something.
And then
That's really ugly, I'm sorry.
I'm surprised that they approved it.
You might just be
I thought
concerned
he
about a
had withdrawn it
projectile.
after.
I think that picture's ugly, but I've seen other pictures where it's very kind of whimsical.
Mhm.
In Europe, they use it a lot in the street fairs.
that is a picture of like Dominican Republic in that case.
Right.
I thought he wasn't going to pursue it after the comments from our chair. She's not here.
She's
but
not here.
She knows it's coming back. She knew he was going to bring it back.
Yeah.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah, she was at the meeting when we discussed this. But
She still,
she still strongly feels like
yeah. and
she
I-
didn't like it.
I
but
I actually have to agree with her, and I
Okay.
don't necessarily, but I think that it's ridiculous.
Okay.
And I don't even think it's gonna provide the shade you want.
Well, it's not for a shade, it's for a setting.
I think it might be a combination.
So, can you reset the stage
Sure.
of how this is being considered? So, like, in some ways, it's it's not signage in the traditional, but it is a marketing lure, right?
Mhm.
Which is signage-ish. And then, is it structural, proposes shade, or is it architectural?
Right.
It's
So
it's
it's
a
not-
weird
Yeah,
gray
it's an
area.
in
So
between-
how are we considering it?
Right. So
Right now.
we're not considering it a sign because it's not their logo. This is not the orange for Cinderella.
Yeah.
But it is we would consider it like any sunshade over that area, whether it's 12 umbrellas or one single sunshade. That would be something the planning board would approve, but it would not need a building permit. It would need the landmarks, which is what's secured in this case. No ARB.
How safe are those things hanging there?
It is going to be a seasonal thing that they would put up. There would be a time limit, like April to.
What has that got to do with a storm coming through?
Yeah, and this is completely subjective, which
Yeah,
is why all these opinions
Can I
are
see
coming
it?
up.
I think the
No.
applicant
Read this.
positioned it as a kind of festive.
Yeah. It's used a lot in Europe in the street
And
fairs.
this is, I'm sorry, this is the area it's going over, so you can see the size that we're talking about.
I will say, when I look at the picture and then I see the direction from the historics, colored umbrella material to be not shiny and without luster, which I think is kind of the point of what these things are, to be shiny.
No, they're not.
It's also
they don't like a
colorful.
It's also
like a
over only a
Mylar.
small area, not like on the entire side.
They don't want a Mylar type, ultra shine material. I don't think they are.
I think it's an accident waiting to happen.
Okay.
I'm envisioning Mary Poppins like
Yeah, I mean, I'd just be curious as structurally, and maybe we could refer to the town engineer on that of how
Just like
are
a
these
sunshade.
cords you know,
Yeah,
how is
I
it
mean, just
all
like a
attached?
sunshade, and the building department's gonna
Right.
make sure that it's not.
Oh, so building.
It's not going to be in any way, secured poorly, because it would be
Yeah.
the fire marshal will be
Right,
involved in
okay,
doesn't
so
want
we
the
have
liability.
that check and balance there.
Mhm.
Okay.
He doesn't
Yeah.
want the liability. Are we losing our AV?
No,
Yeah,
Peter's
big-
back there. They just swapped out.
Oh, they swapped, okay.
And how many umbrellas, how many are they putting in?
Well, it could be a limit. I mean, the area is small.
Yeah.
But it looks like
Yeah.
about 10 by 15 or something is the
Okay.
outside area, maybe.
It's
Just
the
guessing.
outside area actually has a limit of 16 seats, so you could put a limit of 16 umbrellas. That would be kind of like just something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, just wrapping my brain around, because I wasn't at the meeting when it was discussed. So
Sure.
when you look at that, it looks like, all the parking lot's gonna be
Right.
covered,
So this-
right? So it's kind of, how many, seeing a layout could be interesting to say how many umbrellas there are.
I mean,
and
are there
just-
tables there? Can they just put umbrellas and tables?
There are.
There are tables and umbrellas right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so they have,
Or,
Yep,
instead
sorry.
of an example picture,
This is the
to
area.
show they show kind of a rendering of what it would look like at,
Did Gloria see that picture?
from the street too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did she get
here's existing.
Lord, here's the
All
code.
right, so they have,
So it is a smaller area than that picture, and then having, some kind of rendering could be interesting for us to just look at, so that the concerns of, Jackie's not here and had some strong
and that will give you an
considerations
idea of
about
how
it.
many umbrellas we're actually talking about.
Right.
Is it 5 or 6, or they're gonna try to do 20,
Okay.
That's kind of.
Absolutely. So I'll ask the applicant if they can provide that, and then we'll go from there. Absolutely. Okay. Cool. Excellent.
It's reasonable.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, that is off, or tabled, I should say. And then North Sea Tavern. Oh, no. Hayground. Hayground School. So.
You get the hut. I'll take this.
So this was I think some of the board members are going to be familiar with this. Hayground School got approval back in 2018 for an arts and science building on the property.
Yep.
There was long time ago they designated a certain area for the development of the property for the buildings on sites, and so since then they've gotten extensions of the building. The approval up until earlier this year, but then it has expired. They do want to proceed at this time with the building, so they're asking for a reapproval from the board, but they also want to add a library component, which is pretty much all in the basement. Is that correct?
Well, it's actually underground.
Underground,
It's
I'm sorry.
It's completely underground.
But identify yourself for the record, actually.
Sorry, David Barrett, the architect.
Could you get your name for the record, please? Your name for the record?
David Barrett.
David Barrett. And we have
Joe Lombardi.
Joe Lombardi.
Tony Hitchcock.
Tony, good to see you.
Okay, so in this case, you have many ways you could process this to reapprove it, and obviously some changes to the plans. We probably want to get that to the fire marshal. Any exterior changes to the plans?
What I've done is 2 stair towers, I've just relocated them. The building's gonna look the same, it's gonna have red towers, everything is basically the same, the program's the same, the student body's the same, everything's
Yeah,
the
we
same.
had
except
a
for-
lot of review on this. I
Yeah.
remember, yeah.
But some of us were not here.
You were here, right?
I don't think so.
2018?
That was the short.
Well, we had some
Not
very
yet.
smart board members who were. Skilled, trust.
So is the
Interesting.
library addition is in addition to what was originally approved?
That's correct.
But it's,
Okay. And it's in the same building as what was
It's-
originally
it's in the
approved?
same building. Essentially, maybe if you look at the drawing, the building is a half underground, half above the ground. Has 3 units. There's a science, art, and then there's a roof classroom on top of that. And because we realized we haven't heard of our books yet, we've got a whole lot of books we want to put somewhere. So what we're doing is putting the library underground but off to the side. So if you look at the first drawing, which essentially shows the second on the first page, it shows the three classrooms, and then the library is off the side, but that's entirely underground. So as a vault, and we don't want windows in the library. It's better to have the book storage down.
It is essentially an addition to the footprint, but just
That's
totally
correct, but it's underground. Yes, so it's
before this just added on to this.
And what's above it?
it's just going to be glass.
It's gonna be like a green roof.
And solar
It's
panels.
gonna be like a green
Gloria.
roof for the
Green roof.
library.
That's great.
Full temperature control.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't change the enrollment or traffic in and out or anything like that.
So my question to them was, "Where's your library now?" And they said it's in the hallways.
Oh.
So it's kind of sad.
Right.
The big ladder and all of that stuff. So
Yeah. So they need some space for library books.
Is there any? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this was approved 6 years ago. What kind of green environmental stuff that we should be adding? Because this is now 2024, and we have a climate action plan.
See, solar panels.
We're adding solar panels, we're adding 6 car charging stations.
And then for me, 6 years, the biggest thing now is not so much the energy rating of the building, it's the carbon footprint. And so we're now trying to actually study mass timber construction, how we can reduce the amount of insulation in the building. If we go through, and insulation is the third highest, it's steel, concrete, and insulation. So we're trying to eliminate some of the steel, some of the insulation, and do
So
mass timber.
So is that going to be a mass timber building?
That's what we're hoping. We're running all the numbers now, but the school believes, and I believe, carbon footprint is what we're going to have. So we're trying to reduce that any way we can.
Do any of the other buildings on the campus have a basement?
No, well, actually, the addition we did to the dining hall 8 years ago, I managed to get storage down. There's not a basement, but everything else is on grade, and it's always, they're begging for money, and the first thing to go away would be the basement. And so they're always short of storage and any other space underground. And of course, it's the best place to put things, especially books.
So, Claire, is there any consideration with the APOD in terms of, was there in the past any consideration with APOD in disturbing the soils? Was that a consideration during the approval process, or it's more of a clearing?
The agricultural soils, do you mean, or the APOD with the
No, actually excavating
Groundwater?
for agricultural or groundwater impact.
No. In the APOD, there's no excavation issues. I'm just trying to think.
But clearing.
It's all cleared.
It's all
It was
cleared
a farm
anyway,
field,
Okay,
and it's
so
been fields.
So it's
the entire time, and there are fields for the kids to play. I mean, this is.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was purely a budgetary issue, not a regulatory issue, that there are no basements now and that you're proposing an underground
Something
structure.
the school developed over time, and then we just basically found playground. It was just
I'm familiar with
school,
it.
and now,
It organically grew.
Exactly, and one of the things is it's lawn, it's grass now. And the whole idea of having the outdoor classroom on the roof, we're going to flat roof solar panels, and that's going to be where we can have the vegetable gardens. So we're not taking away any sort of green footprint from the site.
Great concept.
So I'm just curious, what would be from the architectural point of view, what would be the roof of the library? Would be concrete, with a roofing membrane, or?
Well, if we can do heavy timber construction, it'll be heavy timber, but if not, it'll be a Q-deck steel roof, then it'll be covered with a green roof. Essentially, it's going to be completely underground. You won't see.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So the roof is at ground level.
Slight below,
Below, because there's going to be grass on top.
Okay.
Are you gonna grow
I'm
vegetables?
just curious.
On the roof of the building, they've done a big workout already. I mean, the whole school is about and this is interesting because it's an art science building. All is the art on the top of the wall. It's just trying to.
What about the trapeze school?
Yeah, that's on the summer stuff. I love that. So,
My recommendation is to have a public hearing in the process with this reapproval. But if the board is inclined to waive the public hearing and just have the referral process, we could do that too, but it's up to you guys.
I like the idea of a public hearing because I like some of the things you're saying you want to try to do. And I'd like to hear the public, I'd like the public to hear that.
Okay, we
It's
can schedule that.
education if nothing else.
That's the purpose of the school.
do we have a complete application?
We do. And we can schedule that for September 12th. That would be the fourth item on the agenda.
Is that good for you guys?
I'm sorry? Oh, we wrote it down. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's the third item on the agenda. So good.
Okay, so we have a motion to schedule a hearing September 12th.
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by Kate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy. Mr. Parrish has to tell us where in Australia you're from.
Which part of Canada are you from? I'm from New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. Oh, okay. Well, which part of New Zealand?
I grew up in Auckland, the largest city. I lived in this area for 40 years, back and forth. I still have a house there.
Yeah.
I'm down to take the kiwi out of me.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
They should.
place.
I did the Milford trek years ago, the route road.
You've done the both?
Yeah.
You're a better man than me.
I was a lot younger.
But I've spent a lot of time doing
Yeah.
So,
Great
it's
spot.
a beautiful country. I'm a refugee from paradise.
There you go.
To paradise.
We try not to let him go back.
Thanks for coming in,
Not
guys.
until his job is done.
Yeah, that's right. Good to see you, folks.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
This one's,
Claire, you
Is this
gonna
ours?
take us to North Sea Tavern?
Yes. So, this one was approved.
Another one with three approved.
Yes, this is exhausting. This one
Parking
was
still is awful.
Huh?
The parking is still awful.
Parking is not great.
Yeah, I think I don't know if we ever did, we were gonna give some parking recommendations to the town board, I think. Parking restrictions, parking regulation, recommendations.
Yes.
Lisa, good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Tell us your name for the record.
Lisa Zaluga, the architect. Tavern, Horsey Tavern. So there's a couple site plans and
Your name came out in a complimentary way with like John Albano.
Oh, very nice.
We're older than I said, I know.
That's funny.
Getting a post put in my molar.
He was chatting
Yeah.
away, that's funny.
And he wanted he was talking to say.
Keep the conversation going, you know, with your mouth wedged open.
oh, that's funny. So this is an application that was approved back in 2022. It was let to be lapsed. The issue was you had approved it conditioned on the fire marshal approval for the seasonal tent, and the fire marshal came back and had some issues with it. They've worked it out. This is the latest plan. It's been referred to the fire marshal, and I have their comments. So that's I want if you don't mind.
Thank you.
The first part of it is the original approval, and the last page is the fire marshal approving the project. They say, plan submitted for site work including but not limited to the reconfiguration of the parking lot or to seating, relocation of
Could you
dumpster.
tell us where you're reading, Claire?
The last page of the fire marshal comments,
Okay.
which is dated today. Plan submitted for the extensive site work including but not limited to the reconfiguration of the parking lot, outdoor seating area, relocation of dumpster, installation of 13 by 8 foot vestibule at the front door. Proposed work shall not impede emergency vehicle access to the property equipment. Vehicle impact protection shall be provided for the outdoor seating area and meet the approvals of this office. Dumpster containers shall not exceed 1.5 cubic yards. Building permit required for proposed vestibule and interior alterations.
public assembly application to be submitted to this office due to the interior alterations and expansion of public assembly area. Occupant load to be recalculated. Contact this office for specific details. The area is served by public water, public service water mains and fire hydrants. Additional fire and life safety concerns to be addressed during the formal building permit review, plan review. So the request is to reapprove the proposal for the reconfiguration of the parking, the outdoor seasonal seating with the tent over.
Was something changed?
No tent?
No time. That was the fire marshal's problem.
Oh, then there'll be no tent.
So, our original application had a tent over that back outdoor area.
Gotcha. Right.
And, the fire marshals, after we worked everything out here, when they finally sent over their notices, they did not want the tent. So that's,
For safety.
I think it's too close to the property lines and the adjacent building, was what I kind of got out of it, but, so we removed the tent, so that's basically what changed.
Oh, I see. The 27 by 27 tent has been removed. Garbage pickup frequency to accommodate the capacity requirements, and the swing direction of the main egress door has been changed. Okay.
With the increased occupancy, was there wastewater addressed at all in the other application?
Well, for outdoor seating, there is no increase of occupancy, and so we can definitely say that as a condition of approval. There shall no increase of occupancy. This is moving seats inside and outside to outside.
It's a little bit of a gray area because of what the fire Division of Fire Prevention comments were.
Yes, I agree with
expansion of the public assembly application. So obviously, there's going to be more people there at a time, and I personally would think that we should look at it, but if there's no tool within the code,
well,
and
there is a tool. There is a tool. They provide the interior space with all the changes on it. So this is what you've submitted, right? Does that include the interior?
Yeah. There's no increase in occupancy. Right. Tables outside are seasonal. You're supposed to take your tables from inside and move them outside, like you're not actually increasing
I think we both understand that, but I think that we're both questioning this paragraph from the fire marshal.
Okay, so we ask them if based on this information, can they provide a new number? And if the number is greater than the number they have existing, they are not allowed to have that.
Yes.
So,
how would the number be larger?
That's what they're concerned that he's
Occupant
saying.
load to be recalculated. If he recalculates it and determines it's a higher occupancy at this time, then we really need to look at wastewater. Okay.
The septic upgrade.
But aren't we pre-existing non-conforming with the occupancy rule?
It says public assembly application.
Yes, you are.
But if you're changing it.
But you're changing the vestibule or whatever you're doing inside, is that changing the occupancy? I think that's what they're concerned about.
I mean, when I laid it out, I calculated the occupancy, but so who's going to do that? The fire marshal?
As he does every year, and you make sure that.
But he'll give a maximum occupancy, which may be different from what the intended occupancy is in terms of seating, right?
No, he's going to give that this property. I'm just going to say right now on the wall, there's probably one that says 120 people or whatever the thing is. What?
I think it's 60 people in the back and 32 people in the front.
So right now it's got 92.
So if he's determining based on the submission of these plans that the number is 93 or over 92, does that trigger
Right, I'm
us
just trying to
look
figure out
at septic and
how no interior change of the building would affect my occupancy. Because the vestibule doesn't affect that's also not heated or anything like that.
So again, like for us, we need that determination from the building inspector, because if the occupancy
Fire
is,
marshal,
fire marshal, if the occupancy is determined to be increasing, then we need to look at wastewater.
Yeah, I mean, that sentence clearly says public assembly application to be submitted due to interior alterations and expansion of public assembly area. Occupant load to be recalculated.
Right.
Contact this office with specific details. What we're saying is if that number goes up based on his calculation, then there may be a septic issue.
See, would you consider that outdoor area as part of the public assembly area for the site, or is he talking only about the building, the inside of the building? It's kind of a little bit weird the way that was written.
Yes, fire marshals
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
But maybe you actually even need to be clear with the board, because the board needs to see what your winter numbers are, right? And then where the seats are coming out in the summer.
Well, that's why I had down here the 30 interior become the 30 seasonal exterior. So these 30 in the back move out to there. So that's showing the 30 inside, and that's showing the 30 outside.
So there's no going to be no seating in that area.
Well, there's no. This is for 60. So there's 30 will stay, and 30 will go. Right?
No, I see it. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I've seen that where they actually show what the layout's going to be.
Yeah, and I'm just reading what the fire marshal said.
Mm-hmm. So, what do we have any deadline today or anything like that? So we can wait for that information back?
Yeah, I can re-refer this and say we want to read a document, see, and it's got to be less than 92 space. I mean, I'm not going to say that. But you're going to say if it's 94, then there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Then there has to be needs to be some changes.
So this shows the existing head-in parking. So you're not touching anything, the concrete sidewalk or any of that. None of that is being on the North Sea Road side.
No.
Okay. The reason I'm looking at that and mentioning it is that the county is planning to install sidewalks on North Sea Road. I'm hoping they do. So we'll agree to disagree on that. But one of the ideas I've suggested to them is that where sidewalks don't work is that they install a bike lane as, again, a somewhat protected area for people to use. So some places it might be sidewalks, some places it might be a bike lane, kind of transition areas. So I'm just wondering whether this might be a time. You did talk to them about.
We've spoken to the county,
Okay,
and
I would just hate for them to come in and do something right after you did something, or vice versa.
So we're not planning on changing that out there, and
Okay.
we met with the county, the ambulance people, the owner of the tavern, the owners of the delis. We all met on site,
Right.
and
Okay.
we've had multiple meetings as to how it's
Okay.
going to
They have.
impact all of their
I-
parking.
Okay,
Because
but
you've also
and
got
I
the
know
guy next.
that
you've got the auto
I know
mechanic
that's
and-
problematic.
Sidewalk isn't going on your side though, is it? It's going on
You see therein lies, they want to put sidewalks on both sides.
both sides.
Yes, because somehow that keeps people from crossing the street.
But they are exploring this idea of not just doing sidewalks, but where appropriate, doing some kind of other protected space
Do
for
that.
people. And there is that between your parking and that edge of concrete. There's a nice section of that might be, more akin to like a bike lane or something that would be protected, but wouldn't be a sidewalk.
Bike lane, I mean, that would be a better.
So I've had those conversations with them. I wasn't at any of those
No.
meetings, although I hope to be at a future one. But as long as they've been talking to you and you've been talking to them, that's.
We've been chatting.
So the occupancy is really key to all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will definitely get. I'll refer it back to him for the radiant occupancy based on the plan.
Are we taking the action?
No.
We're taking the action or going back to the fire marshal.
Oh, that's right.
All right, thanks guys,
Thank
have
you,
fun.
Lisa. Good to see you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, GTB. Consider reapproval.
Everybody wants to be reapproved.
This one is the restaurant and putt-putt golf in West Hampton. It was approved back in 2021. the site plan.
I don't recall that. I must be that's
I do recall. Wasn't there an ice
How about
cream
Pastor?
shop too?
Ice cream shop.
Oh, was he 100?
Pastor Chevrolet.
Where were you?
So this is where Pastor Chevrolet is right now. It's a parking lot.
You're weird. You're weird. Which one is?
This is the actual approval, so you can just take a peek at that.
Do we have anything new?
No, this is a reapproval just as is.
It's expired, I guess.
It's expired. It expired in December of last year.
No changes since?
No changes.
Okay.
But that we
Project
need a new
sponsors
date.
were reluctant to put the building up without a tenant. Now they're in negotiations.
So,
Tenants would like to move forward.
okay. And what is this near? That's Seabreeze Motel, I see.
Yeah, right
Okay.
next to the Seabreeze.
Where the old Pastor Chevrolet.
Across from
Gotcha.
the old Bowie one, I think it's
Yeah,
Ketchum.
Ketchum.
Oh, okay, right.
So this
right.
is this actually where the Pastor Chevrolet car dealership is right now, or it's next in between?
No, Pastor is.
No, this is further down.
This is west
This
of
is a vacant piece of
Oh, west of
property.
Pastor.
Yeah, it's on the other
Oh,
side
no,
of
I'm
Seabreeze.
sorry, this is where the rest,
There was
With
a
motel.
nightclub,
a
Nightclub,
disco.
yeah.
disco time.
Yeah, I think the
That was a few
community
years
was
ago.
happy to see it go,
Yes.
and they were
Quite a
happy
while
about putt-putt.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty favorable. The buffers, there are
Yeah.
buffers,
The
50
big issue there
buffers.
was the lighting, I remember.
Yep,
Yeah.
the lighting, yeah.
Yeah, and what landscaping and what kind of berm it was gonna be.
Yes, there's a berm in the front, yep.
Yeah, they're
I
saying
get
change
scared
it
when I
from beach
remember.
plumbing for Cynthia
had
to
it
boxwood,
oriented.
just so that it would be evergreen.
Upside
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Because then you know is.
So what are we doing?
Just reapprove it?
Consider reapproval
Okay. Any other questions?
for the applicants.
Do we have a motion?
And this is vacant and
It's vacant now, yeah, the rest of that building has been taken down.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria. Second by Tom. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy.
Okay, I have a
Thank-
couple
thanks.
releases of maintenance bonds for Hampton Business District.
Okay, item 14.
245 Rogers Way is the release of the $216,000 maintenance bond for their landscaping, which is in good order.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Kate, second by Gloria. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1
And
vacancy.
then,
So-
go ahead.
Wait, just a quick question.
Sure.
I noticed as I'm driving past there, some of the pine trees, I don't know what type of pines they are, but they seem to be maybe succumbing to the southern pine beetle as well.
Really?
Yeah, I noticed a couple dead ones, just, well, not but just at the main entrance, on the south side of the main entrance. I see a couple that have died.
At Kabreski?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just curious.
This one I just inspected was the Amazon.
Okay.
And then,
So it's the other side of the entrance. Not on the Amazon side.
right, so the other side.
Next time I'm driving past, I'll take a picture and send it to you.
No.
It's one of those things I'm seeing because, I had to, before I left Boosie's, I had my grounds guys had to take down like a dozen trees where the diatrium is where they could fall in the parking lot. And nobody was really even monitoring this. But I see a lot of town roads now where trees are dead on the side of, and
Yeah,
still standing.
100%,
That's going to be an issue for everybody.
That's interesting.
So I'm just curious if they're attacking those trees as well. Or I don't know if that's what it is.
No, good.
It's,
The second one is that parcel, as far as I know. The 2A is that one. Truthfully, I inspected this a year ago, and I forgot to put it back on to the agenda. So this is my fault. So let me re-inspect this one. This is no problem. So let's hold on to this one.
The
The
second
other
one?
one, the second one. The
Okay.
first one I just inspected,
So they might
days
have
ago.
to
So item 15 is off.
Yeah, let's
Thank you.
Table it.
let's table this one
Okay.
because
Item
I
15?
And
they'll yeah, that's the one south. If you're talking about
could you just
the right-hand
identify
side.
what that is for the audience?
Sure. So it's 215 Rogers Way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let me double check that. They'll put them in,
No,
and then
that's-
yeah,
that's good.
then we can definitely put them in. And it's it can be done, but yeah, it's no. We could put white pines in, I guess, as an alternative.
I don't
Until
know
this,
what- I
until
don't
we
know
get
what-
to that point, you know.
Yeah.
The ones on the north side though looked fine as far as I was
I mean,
concerned.
I hated the fact that I didn't have a lot of pines on my property, mostly oaks. Now
But
I'm
now-
happy.
Yeah, no, that's true, exactly. So let's table that. I'll take a peek at it, and I'll let the applicant know if there's any dead ones on that one. And then
What
let's
about
do.
Teresa? Said you want to do another application?
Yes, I am doing that application. This is 77 Turtle Cove in Carlsbad. Oh.
We're not doing that?
No, he wants.
Second call.
This is
You
cold
want to
and
hold
cold.
off on that?
Council should be here for that.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just skip it.
You can skip it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have
Skip
number
that.
20, Connor Freelander is off the agenda.
Okay.
Number 21, Puccio Laundromat is an extension for submission of plans until October 25th.
You had that as a signature?
I did, but they have they're still waiting legal documents to be approved.
We have a motion for Puccio, extension. Motion by George, second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy. Let's jump back then to Turtle Pond.
Turtle Cove.
77 Turtle Cove.
My approach.
Sure. This is on for completeness.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. We received a report earlier. Do you want to? I'm sorry.
So this is Teresa's. So I got myself familiar with this. And so she reviewed this and is recommending that it be deemed incomplete based upon your pre-submission, pre-application reports. This is the subdivision.
So, just a little background. This is essentially a re-subdivision. These were 2 separate lots along the same configuration pursuant to the 1938 subdivision of Southampton Shores. And you can see it up there. So that was the original subdivision. We're essentially asking to redraw that line. In the pre-submission report, which unfortunately I wasn't able to attend the date it was adopted,
Here's a copy.
on recommendation of the planner, the board is imposing a 60% clearing limitation on the lots, but I would note this is not in the APOD. The reason and rationale for doing that is noted in a referral from the Conservation Board noting that the evidence of a field operation that the tract is, after noting that it's located 200 feet from the nearest wetland and across 2 different lots from streets from wetland, noted specifically that there is an essential deer travel corridor along this line. And as a result, these already small lots, it's an R15 zoning district, these are 19,000 square feet each, completely in line with the previous subdivision. As you can see, there's a request that there be a 60% limitation on clearing when this is not in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. The town is not elected to pose any clearing restrictions on this lot. And additionally, in light of that deer corridor, that there be conservation easements extending 20 feet and 30 feet south of the northerly lot lines of the proposed lots 1 and 2, respectively. I have never heard of this board imposing easements for deer corridors. And I don't think it's appropriate to impose clearing limitations on lots outside the APOD. I think you've dealt with that issue a few times.
This has come up a few times. It recently came up in a map in Hampton Bays. Teresa was a planner on that too.
Yeah. So there has been this push that the planning board sort of, when they're considering these subdivisions, substitute for the town board as far as what clearing restrictions are appropriate. I know that you've gotten significant pushback on that. And I would like to add my voice to those today. Based on that, I would ask the board deem this as complete. It's a very simple 2-lot subdivision.
It's a redivision.
Sorry?
The redivision.
It's a redivision. The map's already filed. There's a filed map that identifies these as 2 lots. Theoretically, we could just record deeds, but as you know, when it's what's the date?
Yeah.
70 something.
70 something.
70. You have to come, the town has a provision where we have to come back to get this re-subdivided.
What was the reason for merging the lots in the
They
70s?
were in common ownership,
Common
and
ownership.
it happens over time.
Yeah.
The current owner, my client, did not merge it, he bought it like this.
And are they empty now?
No, one's improved, if you wanna, can someone zoom in, sorry.
I see the house.
There's one forward that's improved, and then the back lot, you can see exactly where the line used to be. That back lot will be.
Yeah, we have the old historic map.
There it is. So the front lot, which is the old lot 15 is improved. And the rear lot, which is the old, I think it was lot 21, is vacant. But as you can see, the road it's between 2 roads. This is not attached to any long corridor for wildlife. And I really don't feel it's appropriate. Given what we're asking for, I don't see the nexus in requiring that.
And there's nothing in that area with similar requirements?
I've never heard of anything with that requirement.
The reality is, most people will put up deer fencing to preclude the passage of deer.
And we haven't received a single letter from any deer. So they use them.
Is there an HOA there at all?
There is an HOA.
And do they have a clearing restriction?
No.
I think we can move forward with completeness clear.
The only thing so no clear restrictions, no easements, right?
Right.
So we're getting rid of 3 and 4. No disturbance, and then of course the northern longitude that is without saying. So we will still have that in that.
I would
So-
say
Number
So
6,
3, 4, and 5 we're getting rid of, right? 5 as well?
3, 4, and 5, right?
Well, it's a cessation of clearing disturbance activities, which are not
Well, it
prohibited.
says
Yes, so
the
5.
required easement, so that becomes.
And I suppose 2 as well, because 2 just notes there was unauthorized clearing, which there's no limit on clearing, so I don't know how they're.
The unauthorized clearing is that you were in the process of the subdivision while you
Oh,
cleared.
okay.
That's
Is that what she's
Or
talking
no
about?
Yes.
permits?
With
Then
no,
that can
with
remain.
no authorization from the planning board.
That's
Yes, that is true.
So number 4, where it says needs to be reestablished, the
So
conservation.
getting rid of 3, 4, and 6.
5.
5, 3, 4, and 5.
6 is the northern long.
Right, which they have to do anyway.
Yeah.
They have to do
Put the
it.
bat signal on there.
7
Bat code.
is New York State archaeological sensitive area.
See, that's what's interesting, because I have a draft here. It's not a draft, I'm sorry, it's the final report, and mine doesn't have that 7 on there. When Claire made copies for you today, because I said I was gonna have this discussion, I don't have 7. So I don't know when that came on,
And I have 7, I don't know.
but here's mine, no 7.
What's
Is it in an archaeologically sensitive area?
Here.
What's the date on
Yes.
yours?
That's
It's the
standard.
same date.
That's standard.
Yeah, so we can put that in there, I'm just saying I need
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
So you might wanna just move to revise this to include that, because I
Yeah.
don't know if it was originally included.
It's
So-
on our report.
Do you want that prior to what?
Completeness. Oh, what is this? What's secret?
There's no secret, this is
It's
2
a
lots
type
subdivision.
So this is an
Well,
approval
we can do
subject to.
completeness.
Can we approve?
It's a conditional,
Subject to,
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
conditional.
yeah, we'll have it done before the hearing.
You will?
Phase 2. When are you scheduling the hearing?
Oh, September 26th.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we rescind the earlier approval, or how does that?
No, you
Or
would be amending your pre-app report.
Well, put it this way, if we don't have the report by the hearing date, we'll keep it open. So
Perfect.
it's the cleanest way to
perfect.
do it.
I like that.
Okay, so with those changes, do we motion to deem complete and set the hearing for?
And then you're also amending your pre-app report. So do you
September.
want
two
resolutions.
Oh, okay.
So the first
one is the deemed complete. Do we have a motion? Motion by Gloria, second by George. All in favor, aye. Opposed, abstentions. 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy, and
Are we doing complete subject to, or?
second
Amend the
resolution.
pre-app report to
Delete.
eliminate 3, 4, and 5.
And add 7.
And
Which
add
is
7.
the new
Three.
whatever, 3.
Four.
And say it has to be submitted prior to the hearing, or else the hearing's going to remain open.
Well, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Great.
I don't even know if you have to put that in the resolution.
No, you don't. You
part
can
of the
say you need a
record.
report prior to the hearing.
So with the second one amends the report and sets the hearing date for September 26th. Do we have a motion? Motion by Kate, second by Tom. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent.
There used
1
to-
absent, 1 vacancy.
There used to be an
Yeah,
ad.
I have one tonight. Did you do 20 already? You did. Connor?
I took it off the
Already
agenda.
took it off.
Did you give me affidavits
It's off
and
the agenda.
posting
I
and
don't
stuff?
have the folder with me, so I gotta run back. and
What
get it.
happened
All right,
to
just make sure
what
you
happened
have-
to Freelander?
Which one are you?
It's off the agenda.
It's off the agenda.
I don't have the North
Support
Main.
lot subdivision.
Okay.
I'll be right
We're
back.
at number 22.
See you in a bit.
Okay, Carl.
Okay.
Which is,
Be safe, thanks. Don't rush.
which is
22.
Taha LLC is off the agenda.
Oh, I got it.
And 23.
23 is Delanjo.
Delandro, is that on
Sorry,
for
you signed.
signature?
and what about Bidaway?
Okay, bye to me. Let me tell you a story.
Wait, before you get there, what about Puccio?
Gather around,
That
children.
was an extension.
It was an extension.
Gather round. So
So the only thing I have to sign is the Lalio. The
Delandro.
Landro,
Happened to
rather,
Connor.
excuse
Did
me.
Connor?
So bye to me. I'm going to give you
Oh, there it is.
the plan and
Do you have a dog to give to us too? It sounds like this is going to be a long dog story.
so you gave the approval, stamped the plans, Florian signed them, and then they took a year to try to file them, and the county would not allow it. So now we have to reapprove it, and then Gloria has to sign it, but we are,
Was this the abandonment certificate issue?
which we approved the amendment too. I'm not quite sure what they did with it. So I'm confused. But, so this is the request to reapprove it, which we can do on a resolution today, and then, they're gonna get us the plans. This is for the town to buy the
Open
rear
space.
of the open
Yeah, yeah.
space. It could have been handled differently. This would have been a waiver, and we would have signed it, and then no conditions and everything like that, but they decided to do it differently. So this would be to reapprove this, plan, and then Lauren would be authorized to sign it.
Do I sign that today?
We don't have it, and I'm gonna ask you a favor, if maybe you can come in next week sometime when they do submit it. Probably we'll get it Tuesday.
Let me know when you get it and I'll see when I can come in.
That'd be great. Thank you, and then it will facilitate that meeting.
Okay, by the way, hold, we've got a motion for reapproval.
Motion.
Motion by George, second by Tom. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 1 absent, 1
Excellent.
vacancy.
Good job.
Dennis, did you guys approve the minutes?
Which?
Yeah,
Did you do minutes?
Yes, we did.
Oh, did they do an action for that?
I didn't hear what you said. We
Yes, we
accepted,
did.
yes,
We, and the 11th.
yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn by George, second by Gloria.
Sure.
See you
I
at 6.
know I didn't say anything.
You don't have to. Your presentation. Adjourn.
The intent was there.
How many couple times have we